Yes, yes, yes. It is the Castworthy podcast, and we are back. It is Sunday, March 12th, the proposed, expected, final daylight savings times day ever, thanks to the government. If things hold true. I'm Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed on the Twitter machine. The big three are back. Big three are back. I got both arms today. Never feels good just to have one arm. You don't know what you got till it's gone. You know. Big EJ is back, the VP of Research. EJ, how you doing, sir? Are you still in a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound convincing. As we get closer to April, it gets less and less convincing.
I just want to know why there's so much access to sex on the internet these days.
It's going right in.
Like
it's getting right into it, huh?
I'm sorry.
Going right in.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Gritty toxicity.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday.
You making what they say it's true. Men wake up thinking about sex.
Right.
That and football.
I don't know about that. Men in tights and about that.
No, cut it out.
Pause yourself, sir. Pause yourself. VP, anything new and exciting in your life?
Nah, man. Just I'm chilling, holding it down per se and whatnot. I'm waiting to see if I need to file some kind of retaliation lawsuit against the VA. That's all.
Damn.
Oh, you're still dealing with that?
Yeah, I mean it should be over this week. I'm supposed to. I gotta go in and see the doc. They're gonna do a quick examination and then fill out my form. But you know, I've had like the vibe feels different. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when my doctor's manager hit me up, you know, she's like, "Hey, if you want to change doctors, I can." I could say, I was like, "Yo, I don't have a problem with my doctor. I told you guys, I just want my form filled out. This is the reason why I had to do what I had to do is to get my paperwork done." You know, and she was like, "Well, you know, just let me know." You know, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Maybe she's trying to get you to complain against the doctor because they don't mess with him. Kind of
or maybe you should change doctors because he probably got wind of you making a complaint.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did.
It sounded like she like, you sure this motherfucker ain't good?
Mm-hmm.
So
we can file a complaint for you.
But I hit
the form filled out.
Right, I hit my doctor up on Thursday, this past Thursday, and Thursday week ago or whatever, and I was like, "Hey, I'm just hitting you up." Well, we got like a secure messaging thing with the VA. I was like, "I just want to let you know that medication I was on, I finished it, and because she had told me once I finish it, she needs to like run some new blood work to see like where my numbers are to see if she needs."
Oh, you got a woman doctor too?
I was just thinking that. This man complaining,
and so I hit her up and I'm like, "Yo, I finished the medication. I don't know, like, you wanted me to do blood work or you want to just give me another round of it or whatever." And normally, whenever I send her an email, like her nurse will usually respond back the same day or the next day, like, "Hey, I got your message. I'm forwarding it to her to review." No message from the nurse, and she didn't hit me back till like 3 days later. And normally, when she hits me up, it's like, "Hey, sir, I got your message. So what I want you to do, boo, 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 boo." It's like real chatty. You know what I'm saying? This time she hit me up. She was like, "I've scheduled labs for you, non-fasting." That was it.
You're gonna be in the waiting room at the office. They're gonna be like, "Send the nigga in the wheelchair." And I was Vari last time I got here.
Vari broke up with his doctor, yo. This is literally what's happening. He broke up with his doctor.
Is your doctor is she Caucasian?
No, she's like, I don't know like what her background is, but she looks like she's probably like Indian.
Oh, okay. Does she do your physicals?
Yeah.
She cover your balls, make you cough.
Does she have cold hands? Next time she gonna have ice cubes in her hand. Next, she's gonna be like, "Come on in, it's time for your physical." Why you got dry ice over there in the corner?
Time for your prostate exam.
So,
But this time we're gonna have Shaq do it.
Hey,
so
yo.
I'm just like, yo, and I'm like, and the thing that's making me mad about it is, I sent an email when I sent the email to DC, and I literally start the email off by saying, like, no issue with my doctor, no issue with my service or treatment or anything like that. I just need this form filled out. Here's the backstory, get my form filled out. And it seems like nobody has read my email because they keep asking me, like, if you want to change the doctor, we can do that. And I'm like, yo, there's no problem with the doctor. Just fill the form out.
Well, whose responsibility is it to fill out the form?
It should be my doctor's.
Okay,
But
so basically you complain about your doctor
so
without complaining about your doctor.
so here's the problem though. So
Like, yo, I don't
according
got
to
no
my
problem with my
doctor,
doctor, but this form is
She
taking
fill the fucking
forever.
form out.
Right.
because the form says the form is from the state of Florida, and it says your doctor needs to be licensed in the state of Florida under statute, blah 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 blah, right? And my doctor is not licensed in Florida. The reason why is that because she works for the VA. So when you work because the VA is federal, you can be licensed in any state. It doesn't matter what state you practice in or what state you're licensed in.
Yo, the
It's
military
federal.
is so crooked.
So
He's
she
like,
should
yo,
still
you
be.
got a license?
So my doctor should still be able
From
to
where?
fill out this form.
Ukraine?
But
Come on.
she's looking at it literally saying, I'm not licensed in Florida. She was like, so let me send it up to my supervisor who is licensed in Florida and we'll get your form filled out. And then the supervisor told her, oh yeah, we can't fill that out. And then my doctor comes back to me and says, yo, my supervisor's telling me we can't fill this out or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'll play your game. And then I go to DC. So
He had that moment. So let me talk to your supervisor.
right.
Your doctor, wait a minute. Hold on. Your doctor has a supervisor?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's enough right there. That's enough for me to be like, no, thank you. I'm not going to nobody who don't own their shit.
Nigga, she works for the VA, boy.
He works for the
It's
government.
not a private
Everybody got a
practice.
supervisor.
Y'all think I care? It's a doctor, yo. Like, if I go to Best Buy, I expect a supervisor. You know what I'm saying? If I go to the doctor, I don't want no supervisor. Like,
It's
maybe
a VA hospital.
it's a doctor though. Like, it's a doctor. A doctor has a practice. Hey, yo,
No,
doc,
but
my
the
back hurts.
doctor
Hold on, let me go
doesn't have
check
a
on my
practice.
supervisor
So-
real quick.
That's
So you
precisely
don't go
the
to the
problem.
emergency
The doctor doesn't have a practice.
Well, they have a license.
They work
They have a
for
license.
hospital.
But they have a license.
Yeah, to practice, but they're employed by the hospital that has
Listen,
a level of supervision.
Right.
guess what?
Same thing if you go to a hospital. You see the doctor in the emergency room, they got a license, they practice at the hospital, but they also got somebody who's in charge of them.
It's a medical
the
director.
Director of nurses, yeah, DON.
No, there's a medical director of the entire hospital.
Listen, don't tell me you got to go see your supervisor if you're a doctor. Like, you're a doctor. Yo, I got to fill this form out. Let me go check on my supervisor real
This
quick.
nigga's out of control.
Why do I even need to
Right.
see you? I'm
This
going to go
nigga
find me a
is-
new doctor that don't got a supervisor. How about that?
Every doctor technically has a supervisor. They have the clinical board of every state.
I can't believe that you went Karen on your doctor.
I need
Like-
my form filled out.
He
If you had
definitely
a black doctor like me, it would have been filled out. My doctor be dancing on TikTok and shit.
What?
Twitter. Yeah.
You have a black female doctor?
I have a black
Another
male
black man.
doctor.
I'm surprised he ain't raised your prices yet since he went to the White House.
Oh, he went to the White House, yeah.
Yeah. Steve
Your
Doctor is
doctor-
on one of
your-
Biden's like medical councils.
Oh,
Well, yeah, he was. Well, because he did. So when he went to Dr. Burroughs, Dr. Adrian Burroughs, Castleberry, Florida. Shout out to him. So anyway, when he went to you know where he went to college, Vari?
Probably Howard.
The U.
So
So anyway,
he's a pretty good doctor then.
so when he went to college there, he did his did a study on the coronavirus, COVID, before it was COVID.
How long ago was this?
Back in the 90s, he said, late 90s, early 2000s.
Wow.
Yep. And
So
so
just real quick, let me just interrupt because I can see this going a bad place.
We know it's not the
All
coronavirus. It
What
right.
was
EJ?
SARS. It was SARS. But the shit
Okay.
still came from
But
a
no,
lab. I don't give a
even
shit what you say.
no.
Wuhan, it
What
came
I'm
from a lab.
saying, all those all those viruses like that, like the flu, SARS, they're all types of coronaviruses.
They're all
So
strains,
he was
mutated
doing
strains.
right. So he was doing studies on coronaviruses, not necessarily COVID-19 for the people who
They,
were gonna,
yeah.
you know,
Listen. The shit
for the
still
EJ
came from
types.
a lab, man. I'm telling you,
For
all
the
of it came
EJ
from a lab, man.
types.
Hey, listen, syphilis, all that. Listen, all I'm saying is in this world, right? We have evidence that since the 1500s, that people of I'm just gonna say people have been using chemical warfare against human beings since then. Am I lying? I'm not lying.
I don't know about the timeline, but you're definitely right
I'm talking about the
about the
15,
warfare.
1600s
I mean, I don't know
when
when it started, so I'm
The
just
Spaniards. Well, we don't listen. I'm just saying when
I'm cautiously agreeing. That's all I'm
the
saying.
Spaniards came to Native
Be
America,
careful.
okay, they purposely gave Native American people disease blankets to spread germs and diseases they did not have here. That's all I'm saying. It's been going on forever. It's been going on. Hey, coronavirus came from a lab in Wuhan. They just didn't confirm it yet. It's okay. It's no problem.
This is
It's no
my
All right,
problem.
doctor.
so back to the good doctor, Steve.
That's your doctor?
That's my doctor. So he be all over he be all over Instagram and
Oh
stuff like
yeah,
that.
he definitely ain't charging you right, nigga.
Yeah,
Cause your ass
Yeah.
shouldn't be able to afford that nigga. He viral now.
Yeah, he is
he
viral. He definitely
viral
is.
and he go to the White House.
Yeah, but I've been seeing him for years. Shit, I've been
Yesterday's price is
It's
not
not
today's
today's
price.
price. Mm.
now now see it's because he's black. You know what I mean? If he was anything else, he'd be inflation.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Anyway, he did a study back when he was at the U. He did a study on SARS when it was basically the common cold or whatever. And
Mm.
and so he was basically a lot of people or a lot of news outlets were using him as a point of reference, right? Calling him
Mm.
like a professional, if you will,
Expert.
an
Right.
expert in that area. So that's how he kind of got up onto CNN and a bunch of other spots, and ended up on a Biden council of some sort. Went out there, met with a bunch of other doctors, but cool as shit though, cool as shit. But if I give him a form, it's getting filled out. You know why? Because it's his practice. He ain't got no supervisor. Like hold on, let me go check on my supervisor. Nah, I ain't about that. You a doctor. If I come in and be like, yo, got this thing going on my balls, like I don't want you to walk over and be like, hey,
He
patient in
missed the
one
entire
oh two.
point. He missed
Yeah,
the entire
because let
point
me
why it
ask you
couldn't
a
get
question.
signed. It's fine.
The other doctor that works in this practice, do they have a supervisor, which is your doctor?
And I don't know. I don't see them. If they do, if they do, it don't matter. I'm sorry. I don't deal with peons.
Hey, can we get back to my original question?
Why is there
Yo,
titties all over the internet?
there used to be a point in time where as men, we had to scour. We had to scratch, claw, go to your neighborhood bodega to find access to all of this sexual content. And it's so much sex on the internet. There's so many people on the internet just like selling sex. Like, is it even sacred anymore? Like, it's
Are
just
you upset about
everywhere.
this? You sound
Whatsoever.
angry about this.
Nah, I just don't know what to do.
Was it ever sacred?
Watch it
I
and
don't know.
appreciate it,
Okay. Well, this is what. Well, they said
or don't.
Kirk Franklin needs to go back to watching porn because they said that's when he made the best music.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It is. It's It's way too accessible. And so my question is, how come, um, the terms and conditions for websites and social media sites go completely out the window if there's a baby in the picture sucking on the boob?
Yeah, that whole Instagram breastfeeding thing, like, is are at this point because they're making it a
If that's the case,
whole event.
yeah,
Just show your titties.
just right, exactly.
Just show your titties. Like they're making it a whole event. They got the music playing. The kid ain't even. They not even paying attention to what the kid is doing.
And I
It's
was
kind
gonna
of
say,
weird.
yeah, it's like I get it, man. When you're championing breastfeeding and saying it's okay, let it happen in public. Listen, I'm okay with it being done in public. Matter of fact, you don't even got to put the little shawl or whatever over if you don't want to. Keep your scarf to yourself. But you know, but yeah, like I'm seeing people that they're hashtagging 50 going viral because they got them things out thangin'.
I mean, in the breastfeeding video, they got the music to it. They done all their makeup. The
Hmm.
baby ain't. You ain't even watching
Baby
the
not even
baby.
eating.
Not even
Baby
on
not
the
even
joint. Like
eating.
the baby just over here trying to.
You
It's
hitting the
just
baby
like
in the nose. What the
it's
fuck
like
is going?
it's like what's really going on? Like is like what are they really? What are we really seeking from this? Like is this appreciation or is this something else at this
People
point?
trying to go viral off anything these days.
So, so I think like using this breastfeeding thing, for example, not talking about like sex on the internet overall. I think this, like everything else, is one of those things where it has good intention behind it, and you have a few people who kind of bastardize it, and those are the people who get the attention to make it seem like the entire movement is bad. You know what I mean?
Yo, they
And
be dolled up, yo.
and
Full face of makeup.
part of the reason
It's a
that
whole
this
event. It's not even a natural thing. It's a whole event. You're literally like, oh, it's 12 o'clock. It's scheduled feeding time. Let me set up my whole camera studio and make it a
green
production. It's nasty.
green
I
but
mean, I
part of the
screen.
enjoy it.
reason that this stuff is happening is that over the last few years, um, women, women's rights advocates and people like that have been trying to get laws passed that basically say things like, companies have to provide a space for a breastfeeding mother to pump.
Lactation rooms.
Yeah, like lactation rooms and things. Like you have some companies that might be bigger who are like, yeah, I mean, I don't know why we need law. We're already doing this. You know what I mean? But you have other companies that are like, yo, fuck that. I don't have time to be renovating a space or whatever, and people are like, yo, this is not fair to I shouldn't have to pump my breast milk in the middle of my cubicle, around all these people and shit. You know what I'm saying? And so it's stuff
Some
like
of them
this.
niggas is nasty.
It's stuff like this where these movements are kind of coming from or whatever.
You
But
on break?
like with anything, you're gonna have people who take advantage and or not. I don't want to say take advantage, but use the moment for their own
Sexualize it.
interest.
Sexualize it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean,
No, we
breastfeeding.
watch it, but I mean the whole
I don't
thing is
watch it.
just yes you do. The whole thing is just like I don't know our society to some degree. I just wonder, there like like Vari said that was a one episode. He was like that's pre 2010 thinking, and I get it, but I wonder is there certain things that we should have just kept. It just seems like certain things aren't sacred anymore. Certain things just don't matter anymore. It's just like we've just become a free society as it benefits us. We we
Yeah.
we we hold the free card, the freedom card for when it's beneficial to us and it makes sense. And it's just like when does our society get back to just saying, okay, everything isn't just free, everything isn't just willy nilly. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like, and we raise children in this generation. So it's like we talk about children's sexuality, orientation, and all of that. But when did they just, begin to be children? When do we just begin to be a society that just isn't open for everything? It's like Europe used to be only one of those places where you can find porn on TV. It's just like everything's just blown off the doors, it seems like. I don't know.
So
I'm
I
not
hear that
complaining though.
argument. I hear that argument, and what I would say is, um, look at the other side of the coin of it, especially when you speak about places like in Europe, right, where they don't, um,
Vilify.
they don't have
It's
this
on
like they
TV
don't
and
have like this
everything.
conservative thought towards
Taboo.
sexuality, right?
Right.
And so they look at things like, this shit is just natural. So, I don't want to say they necessarily say who cares, but they're more liberal with it, I guess you could say, right? And over there, you don't find as a percent, and I don't have any data on this or whatever, but I'm
I know
assuming
where
that
you're going.
you don't find people who are as repressed as they are in the United States, people who are like incels, which means involuntary or involuntarily celibate, you know, people who say, oh, I can't get a girl, nobody will have sex with me, so let me go buy a bunch of guns and shoot up the mall. You know what I'm saying? And so
What?
I have never heard anybody shoot them all for not getting buns.
it happens.
What?
It happens. I'm just saying it
Stop.
happens.
Stop.
It does.
Yeah, come
You're
on.
such an
Come
extremist sometimes.
Okay,
on.
See,
go
you
ahead.
try to take
Co-
everything and make it
Come
about.
on,
You try to
guns.
make
Come
everything about
on.
guns.
Come on.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Let me earn the title.
When we
Oh
talk about,
my gosh.
listen, when we talk about porn and shooting up the block, we're not talking about those kind of guns. Maury. Listen, nah,
Yeah.
you're
I
right,
get your
EJ.
point. I get your point.
It is super accessible though. It's super accessible, and whether Europe does it or not, I don't care. I live in America.
I
It's
got
too
Mark's
accessible. It's too accessible. Like when the internet is the worst thing that ever happened. Like before the internet, I had the internet when I was a young kid because my dad was a teacher. And he was able to get a computer and all that shit. Years. I still remember the first internet naked picture I ever seen, and y'all are gonna call me crazy. It was Roseanne Barr's boobs. That was the first picture I ever seen on the internet of nudity, right?
point.
And I was like, maybe 11 back then, maybe even younger than that. And
Nah, you weren't that young.
yes, I remember. Trust me. Anyhow, it was now that wasn't the first porn I ever
You
seen, but
probably were fit. Let's say you were
that
14.
was the first one on the internet. Now I was younger than that. Trust
Okay.
me.
All right.
Trust me. Um nonetheless, doesn't really matter. After seeing the first one, I'm like, oh, there's got to be more out here. You know what I mean? Like the internet just changed things and made it so accessible. And right now, it's to the point where it's even more accessible. Like, think about it. You go on Twitter, and because Twitter doesn't have anything to stop it, right? Instagram had it, Facebook had it, but now to your point, EJ, it's getting loose because now you just can show titties all over the place if you just put a baby in the picture and say it's about breastfeeding, hashtag breastfeeding, free to nip type shit, right? But kids, it's too accessible. And I get it, the people that say, oh, police your kids, you got to control what your kids see. Yeah, you can do that at home. You can't do that when they go to school. And other heathens whose parents don't police them, I mean, you can teach them what's right and wrong, but maybe you don't want them to see it. Maybe you don't want your 12-year-old, 11-year-old, 13-year-old daughter, seeing a fully frontal picture of an adult man on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Because they're at school and their friend might have it. Like it's just, at what point does it get a little more controlled? As a society, do we start to control it and control the access to it?
Yeah. I
Or
just
do we just, like VP said, be more like Europe and just let people, do whatever because, kids being exposed to nudity is not as bad as mass shootings.
and in Europe, I mean, they don't feel that sex to some degree is a taboo with the adults. That doesn't, explain the access that children have because a lot of European countries, while they aren't afraid of the sexual taboo, they still treat their young and the young people in a more traditional sense. But I'm just speaking to like Twitter and how just crazy it is. Like remember when Backpage was out
Mhm.
and you had to like search to kind of see all this stuff. Now it's just like everybody's selling their ass on the internet. It's just like, what's going on? Like, is that really the thing? Like, are we just paying for sex every which way? Like, what's happening?
I got you. And
I don't know.
Well,
real quick,
Chris Rock said it in his special. If you watched it, it's easier to make money showing your ass than it is to get up and go to work. You know what I'm saying? You can wake up and take a shower and go in your living room and make a month's salary of someone else's in a couple of hours if you're a baddie. And you don't even got to be a baddie because like VP says, there's something for everyone. You know what I mean? When you talk about, kink, and we don't kink shame, but what people like and don't like, there's something for everyone. So what you think won't sell, somebody can go take that, sit in their living room and make buku bucks quickly and easily. And that's easier than getting up and going to work and making a living and, or picking up some type of craft or something like that. That's why it's there.
Let me say two things. I actually want to comment on this point that Steve just made. So like I said, I'm gonna earn the title. So I went ahead and did a quick
Freak of the
search here, and
week.
I found this 2019 report from the Department of Homeland Security National Threat Assessment Center that talks about the links between mass shootings and in the incel movement. So I'll drop it in chat.
So
Anyway,
what exactly is the connection? So they're saying that because people aren't getting cheeks, they resort to violence.
they've talked about how like people in those movements feel like women sexualize themselves kind of to the topic that we're talking about and
Uh,
then deny them sex. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I'm going to work, or I went to the mall, there's this chick who's looking like a baddie, and then when I approach her, she won't have sex with me. So you know
Oh,
what,
you
I'm
you
coming back
mean
to the mall and then
you mean like a waitress at Buffalo Wild Wings being nice to you, so you tip them well, and then you're thinking that she wants the BBC like that?
oh god. Oh man.
that's insane, yo. Meanwhile, though, somebody needs to
You know,
get them Twitter.
toxicity.
Somebody
Somebody
needs to
over
get
your head, but I got
somebody
you.
need to get those dudes Twitter, man. Because I mean,
But
they could just buy it.
It's the need for dopamine.
but at the same time, though, to go back to Steve's point about what Chris Rock said with you can fire off a video and you make more in a month than some people make all year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? I think these kind of conversations are not helpful because not the conversation that we're having in general, but I mean like that specific point because it denigrates like people who do sex work, right? And sex work is work, so it's not as simple as somebody who made a video and then uploaded it to OnlyFans and then that person made all this money. That person has a skill set, right? Because they have to edit that video, they have to film it, do lighting, etc. I know you can go on these sites and see trash videos, but I'm saying the people who are making real money, there's some quality to the content that they put out, right?
I'm talking
And
about
that's what
sex
it
work.
takes, huh?
I'm talking about sex work.
Yeah, the shit it takes.
Boom, boom.
These people, these
Did you order a
people are
large
essentially
pepperoni?
these people are essentially selling a fantasy, right? And they have to put work into it, And so I don't think that it's fair to just say like, oh, this chick can get up, show some ass, and then make 100 grand. And it's not that simple because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people on OnlyFans or any other site like OnlyFans that don't make a lot of money because
Mm,
their video quality has no quality to it.
listen,
Or
I just know the
because
hookers in Hunts Point probably had to rebrand themselves by now because
Oh man,
keep up with the
shout
internet.
out to HBO on that one.
Taxi
Hookers
Cab
on the point.
Confessions.
Hookers on the point, baby.
Yeah,
Yo,
man.
it's crazy right now. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know. It just makes me think about the society that we're in, and it's just like, okay, we lived in a pre-2010 society where a lot of things were taboo, even regardless of the country, right? And it's just like, where are we really going? And it also speaks to the access to the violence we see on the internet with the world
Mhm.
stars, the other shit. It's just like, and I always make this point, like our parents heard Vietnam on the radio if they weren't actually in it, right? Or the Korean War, they heard about it on the radio. We get to see Ukraine in person, in action, and it's just like, I don't know if we have too much access to stuff these days.
Or do
I
we?
definitely got you, man. Like some it's you can go on internet sites and see people be deleted and shit like that, I definitely understand that point, but I mean people say they want to live in a free society, and this is the kind, you got to take the good with the bad, I guess, and it's kind of this. I like this argument. I feel, and I'm not trying to talk about guns, but I feel like this is like when we have the gun debate, right? And I'm saying we got to do something about these guns, and people saying, people they got the right to bear arms, and freedom, and da 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 da. And it's like, so we got to have that same energy on this shit, Um, yeah, I mean, can you regulate it? Can you try to do things to put parental controls in place and that kind of stuff? Yeah, absolutely. But the shit is out there, so it's gonna be tough. And even if you can restrict your own kids from seeing all of this shit by putting blockers on their devices, et cetera, who's to say their friends got those blockers on their devices? Out, like, for me personally, the first time I ever seen a porno was at a friend's house. Went to my homeboy's crib after school. We went to go do homework, and he had one of those basketball hoops in the fucking in the driveway. And we're do our homework, we're out there shooting hoops. And then his sister's girlfriend, or his sister's boyfriend, came home, and the sister was an adult. The boyfriend like lived with them, and he came home. He's like, "Yo," he was with like a bunch of his dude friends, and he's like, "Yo, y'all little niggas need to come check this out." And we go in the crib.
I can tell you. I can tell you when I seen my first one, and who exposed me to that.
Sounds like Boys in the Hood.
Niggas will see a dead body.
So
Let's mute EJ. We don't need to hear his story.
Oh, I can unmute myself.
Yeah, no, but it's not one to one. VP, you're talking about, oh, people want the right to bear arms. We got to give them the right to do this. You still have to go buy the gun. You still, in many areas, you still have to have a license. You still, there's still an expectation that you're safe with it. There's still an expectation that you handle it with, with care and stuff like that. It's not one to one where it's like, yo, you could go do whatever you want. Go ahead and grab your lint roller and stuff it where you want to stuff it and go make a couple $1,000s off of that. You know what I'm saying? And there's nobody managing, monitoring, censoring. It's there. You know what I mean? It's accessible. And I think that's the point. 13-year-old boy me would have probably been like, this is great. You know what I'm saying? I think about, as a 13-year-old boy, 14-year-old boy, like, being able to access this shit. But 40-year-old me is like,
It's just it's a lot on the sensory, and it's just I don't know. It just, to me, it's like everywhere you turn, it's just someone selling cheeks. It's just, I don't know. It just makes me wonder, like, as a society, what's really going on with us? Like, it's just a lot. It's just a
I
lot.
mean,
and the guardrails are like, what year were you born? Like, kids can't do math and be like, what would make me 21? Like, it's so crazy.
right, and that's the point I was just getting ready to make, is that I guess from the company standpoint, they say, we put the disclaimer out there. This is adult content. Da da da. We ask people to confirm their age. That kind of thing, like that. And this is what gets them in the clear. But at the same time, from these companies' perspectives, or these content creators' perspective, they would say, on the parent, or whoever the guardian of this child, should have restrictions put on their devices, et cetera, so they can't access these sites. Like EJ talked about, going on Twitter and things like that. When you go on Twitter, the first time you look at some kind of sexually explicit material, it doesn't come up viewable. You have to click show more, and then it gives you a disclaimer saying, this content you're saying you want to see is for adults. Are you sure you want to see this? And then you have to click yes, and then it allows you to see it. And then going forward, because you've confirmed, I'm interested in this shit, anytime it comes up again, it doesn't ask you to confirm anymore, because you've already said, yeah, this is what I want to see. And so
extreme guardrails there. Click yes if you do want to see this. Oh, you know what? My mom told me I shouldn't see this. Let me not click yes. The fuck out of here. Listen, man. That shit it's out of control. It's out of control.
And yeah, and the savages in us, we really don't care, but when you look at it and you just see the influx of it, it just makes you wonder, like,
And
what
even
is
if you
really
block
to
it,
behold?
like if like on Instagram, for example, you go to one of these Vixens websites or pages, and then you go to their bio, there's a link to OnlyFans. You know what I'm saying? So even though Instagram has it blocked, Facebook has it blocked, now there's a link to X-rated site. You know what I mean? Like it's just too accessible. You know, as a nasty adult man, people might accept that and appreciate it, and you know, it's probably a great thing from what I'm hearing. But you know, at some point you got to think about like think about the kids, man. Wu Tang's for the kids.
I mean, to that comparison, you know, we become a nation where we just over sexualize everything. Meanwhile, China's over here, you know, cranking out engineers and nuclear
Right.
physicists by the minute. It just, I don't know. It just makes me. And again, listen, when we click down a link, man,
Ain't
we're all old
doctors.
nasty men. We're all old nasty men. We ain't bothered by it. But at some point, sometimes I do be scrolling down. I'm just like, God damn, like.
I just wasn't planning on seeing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's and then the question of why, you know, it's all over like that. Boys see it, kids see it. You can teach your kids and your boys what's right from wrong as much as you want, but they see it. You know what I mean? And they're gonna, you know, then you question why is this little kid like that? Why did he say this to my daughter? You know what I mean? Because it's all over. Because we're teaching them that from the minute you allow them on the internet. It's accessible. It's crazy.
It's a little crazy. A little crazy. But hey, I guess it's liberation. What, I don't know.
Yeah.
What can we
But
say?
it's okay. It's all right, man. Well, you do what you got to do. We do what we do as parents and keep them safe. But yeah.
Speaking of parents, I think it's a little unfair, the backlash that T Morant is getting over Ja
Nope.
Morant.
He deserves all of it, every bit of it. He needs all the smoke, all of
Why?
it.
Why?
Why? Because we castrated LeVar Burton, or not LeVar
Bro,
Burton, LeVar LeVar
Reading
Ball.
Rainbow. Reading Rainbow. Hey, yo.
LeVar Ball for
Mm-hmm.
being, you know, that super supportive father.
Mm-hmm.
T is out here, and I said it, Vari. I mean, VP, you could say from, and EJ, you might have been on the pod. Who knows? You know, depending if you were on that episode, but
No,
it
but
would
I
probably.
listened.
There was a string or five last year when he popped up, when John Moran's father popped up, and I was like, "Yo, get this guy out of here, yo. Get him out of here. He's not doing anything positive with what, you know, with his appearance everywhere. He's just there to be there. He's there to go viral, just like we talked about with, you know, the OnlyFans and nudity people. He's not doing anything positive. You haven't heard anything come out that says, "Yo, T Morant, you know, has started XYZ. You know, he's
We
supporting
don't know, but we
XYZ
wouldn't
founded."
know
We
that.
haven't, but you would hear it. You would hear it,
No,
right?
we don't, because we don't. That's the same argument we had with Jay-Z and all of the shit that he might do. We don't hear everything that he does do. We don't know.
We don't hear
Nobody's
nothing. We hear
nobody.
zero
Yeah,
though.
because the media is not gonna. They're not gonna focus on that.
Okay.
We know that.
Okay. So fast forward. Now you got your son who's out here clout chasing and every single opportunity he gets to be a thug, right?
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you, as a father, and I said this last week, it's going to sound the same, redundant,
Mm-hmm.
sit your son down and be like, yo, cut the shit. Like, just cut it out. I don't care that you're an adult. I don't care. People say, well, he's an adult. He's a man. He's going to make his own decisions. You can't stop Oh, I can stop an adult. I can stop an adult. I can absolutely stop an adult. You my kid? Listen, come here. We're gonna talk. We're gonna chat. Like you no matter how bad of a person you think you are, you will still have some percentage, some individual amount of respect for your parents. And I think if they were parenting, they would sit John Moran down and be like, dog, like you gotta calm down. You gotta relax. He thinks he's above the law.
with the
So, go ahead, VP. I'll
All the
let you go.
smoke to T.
you know, with the John Morant situation, I've heard people say, you know, look, you know, at the end of the day, this guy is a young man, right? And it's not like he spent 4 years in college growing up, and then all this kind of thing like that. And he came into the league at 24 years old or whatever. This is basically a young kid who is filthy rich and doesn't really know any limits. You know what I mean? And so he's kind of learning on the fly. And I understand that argument, right? But at the same time, though, man, you have to be accountable for your actions, right? And it makes me think back to when I was in the military and when I got stationed in Japan, and they would tell us, yo, when you go out, you're representing the country, you're representing the service, you're representing your unit, you're representing your family, yourself, and this is the same thing with John Morant as an individual, right? When he is out in the public, he's representing his family, he's representing the NBA, he's representing the Grizzlies, and on and on and on. And he needs to act a certain way. Um, um, because his actions can have consequences that not only impact, his teammates, but they can impact him, significantly, and with big financial hits, which we see he's suspended, so he's probably being suspended without pay, et cetera, et cetera. And so, while I have some sympathy to that, he's kind of growing up before our eyes kind of argument. At the same time, you have to be smart enough to make decisions to say this is not going to be good for me in the long run. You kind of have to try to think like chess and think a couple of moves ahead. Like how would this look if how what could be the outcome of this? It's kind of like they talk about children's brains not being developed, right? And so when you're 16 and your friend says, yo man, you want to drag race, you're like, hell yeah. You're not thinking
Mhm.
about a car coming out of nowhere and then you wrap your car around a telephone pole. You just think about, we're gonna race. And then when you become an adult, you're like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that because once I get up to 80, if a car comes out of nowhere, I'm not gonna be a patrol. No, I don't think it's a good idea. No, I'll keep it moving. You know what I mean? And he's at an age in his life to where he should be able to think in these
Mhm.
chess move dynamics versus just let me do this one thing because.
I think, and I understand that, and I agree too. And I think T is getting unfair treatment because one, he's not the kid's only parent. Two, because he's been in the spotlight, like we can't have it both ways. We can't, and I've said this to you before. We can't vilify a guy for wanting to support his son, be courtside, and the camera is panning to him and looking at him on all this other shit. Like,
No.
and again, this guy raised this kid, right? He raised his kid. How many guys in NBA didn't have fathers? He raised his kid, put him in private school, put him in the best situations. He's the main reason this kid is where he's at today. And he even said about Ja's actions, he said, yo, I don't make any excuses for this dude's actions. He's wilding out, and this is not how he was raised. And we've seen this
See, but
happen
that's a
before.
problem right there. You can't be hands off with your kid when they make mistakes. Like you can't be like, oh well, he's fucked up.
No, but
I tried to tell him. Like that's
we're taking sound bites again, and the reality is we don't know what he's tried to tell his kid behind closed doors.
and we
There's so
can't
many,
when you say
Steve,
we
but
can't
there's
have
so
it
many
both ways.
there's so many people that were raised not to be killers, and they killers now.
Listen, but we can't have it. You can't say we can't have it both ways. And then be like, well, men should be raising boys, and then be like, well, he's not the only parent. You know what I'm saying? This is T Morant's responsibility. You know what I mean?
But
The mother, sure, his
nobody's
mother.
saying it's not. Nobody's saying it's
You just
not.
said
He's
you just
not.
said he shouldn't get any smoke.
I'm saying that we giving him smoke for something that Ja's doing as if he hasn't tried to do better. He's I can see they acting like this dude put guns in his crib. This dude raised him and sent him to private school. He did everything he was supposed to do.
He deserves all
Everything.
the smoke. He deserves all the
And
smoke.
I would also argue that T Morant is actually handling this situation the exact wrong way. And it's kind of, reminds me when we talk about Kanye, and I'm like, get out of the media. When the media came to him, because he is who he is, he's courtside, etc. Hey, we want to talk to you about Ja, blah, blah, blah. He should have either said no comment or, whatever I discussed with my son, we're going to handle that privately. And I'm not going to be, issuing any statements or anything like that.
Yeah,
Kept it moving.
respect our privacy.
Yeah, respect our privacy. And so that's his first mistake right there. It's just being in the media at all. I tried to talk to him. I did this, boo, boo, boo. Like that's none of people's fucking business or whatever. We're handling this shit in house as a family. You know what I mean? And tell people to move the fuck on. But I somewhat agree with what EJ's saying or whatever. Like the dude did what he had to do. He raised the kid. He obviously did a good job. The kid got to the NBA. He got a huge contract. All that kind of thing like that. So kudos to him and the mom. Whatever. I don't know what the involvement was of each parent. I don't know the backstory like
They
that.
they
No,
they are
he comes
they are
from a two
married.
household.
They're a
They're
married
both
household.
athletes. Both athletes.
They've done everything right. This kid
Right.
is just doing stupid shit, and that you can't. I remember growing up with a kid who was Nigerian. Both his parents are doctors. This dude had a genius level IQ, but guess what? He decided he wanted to go outside, join a gang, bust his gun, and kill people. And meanwhile, I didn't do the smartest things all the time. I didn't have a father in my life. I had father figures that told me different things and gave me different options, and at some point I had to make the decision that I'm not going to go with the flock and do what everybody else is going to do. Vari had the same thing. Steve, you did the same thing, and I'm sure there were things that your parents didn't want you to do, but you had to do it because you went through it. I mean, that's just, you can't control your child. And Steve, I don't disagree with you to the point that he probably could get with him and put hands on him and all that, but does that always work? You
That
know what
would
I'm
be the
saying?
headline. That would be the headline. If
Yeah,
that
but
was my son, the
yeah,
headline would be
Steve,
it would
Steve,
be Steve.
Steve,
Steve is
your
facing charges because he went in the backyard
your
with his
your
son and put
your son
hands on
your
him.
son is gonna be probably twice your size, and at some point in time,
He
it ain't
might
gonna
beat me.
always work. It ain't always
He
gonna
might
work.
beat me.
And then then you do have that relationship where he don't fuck with you at all because y'all fighting, you pull the strap out. What are we talking about? Like, you as a parent, you try to do the best you can with your children and you hope for the best results, and
But
that they take
but EJ,
what you've given them, that you
you're
take
comparing a
what they've given
household.
them.
You're
Bro,
comparing a
no, I'm
household.
talking about parenting.
You're comparing a household and experiences of a household that makes maybe 50, 80,000 a year
Money
to a
ain't the
household
issue here.
to a
Money ain't the
household of a
issue.
kid that's making $400 million over his
Money
contract,
isn't the
right?
issue. That has nothing to do with it.
For
We
you to
talking
sit
about
down
how
as
T
a
Morant.
father and say,
What are you
"Yo,"
talking about? That has nothing to
but
do with it.
if you let
That
me
has nothing to
finish, you'll
do
hear
with
what
it.
I'm talking about. But
It doesn't.
you don't like
You
to listen. You just
you
like
didn't
to
let me
talk.
finish. You didn't let me finish. I was talking when you started saying this.
Proceed.
Again, you as a parent, you try to raise your kids to do the best that you've told them to do, and that they take all of the information you've given them and they apply it to the world. T. Morant literally has done that. He put this kid in private
How do you
school.
know that?
He put this kid in private school.
What
He's
does that mean?
raised him to be a certain law-abiding citizen. He hasn't gotten in any trouble prior to this. So he didn't raise him to do this.
Or he hasn't been caught.
Okay. So now you're
It's
saying
two different
John
things.
Morant's
It's
been
two.
this guy forever.
Listen, you can't. You don't wake up and become a thug. You don't wake up and be like, "Yo, you know what? I'm toting guns and I'm gonna hold a gun at another team's tour bus." Like that's not new behavior. That's not how. It's like waking up and that's like saying someone woke up and they were gay today. You know what? I'm gay today.
No, it's not the same thing.
It's absolutely the same thing.
No, it's not. Because that's
Okay.
again where you believe somebody's orientation is a decision that they made. No, it's
Listen,
how
at 23,
it's what they feel. It's how they express how they love and how they feel. A person's decision to violate the law is a decision that they make.
at 23 years old, there's a kid out here that's running around toting guns, beating up 17-year-old kids in the mall that is a multimillionaire, and you're saying that his parents did everything he did to make sure that he was led down the right path.
Yeah. And
I don't believe that.
you're blaming
I don't
a
believe there's any
dumbass
proof to that.
you're blaming a dumbass kid's actions on his father. If you're telling me, if you're gonna go on record to tell me that T. Morant is encouraging him to bust guns and beat up 17-year-olds, then that's a different conversation.
So we'll give him the credit for getting him to the league, but won't give him the credit for not being a good father and keeping him out of trouble.
I
Because
think
the kid does
You
his
get
own
you get the
thing.
credit, but not the blame. That's what you're saying. He gets
No,
the
that's
credit, but not the blame.
no. What you're
I have to
trying to
I,
blame
I,
him for his actions of his son. His son is his own individual.
No,
and this is
my
Go
blame is
ahead,
that
Barry.
he
He's
hasn't
talking
sat
crazy.
down and had any conversations with him
You don't
that
know
we
that.
know of. That
You
we
don't know
know.
that.
at the same time, though, regardless of we knew or not, we're talking about a grown ass man. You know what I mean? Like
Talk to him, Vari, please.
it's one thing if John Morant was pointing guns at people while he was 16 that he got from his father's, stash, or he was beating up kids in the mall or whatever. You know what I mean? Like this was like a child. We're talking about an adult. So, you know, at the end of the day, he's responsible for these actions. I don't think you can put this on the father.
Let me ask you,
You know
something.
what I mean? Like,
All right, let me ask you something.
Let me flip it real quick.
Go ahead.
Would you say that Michael Jordan's gambling problem is his dad's fault?
Based on
his dad was a gambler. His dad was a gambler.
I don't know.
Okay,
that.
Well, I didn't know that, so that's not a good example.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I never heard that.
Why did his father get killed allegedly?
Because of Michael's death, not because of his own father's death.
Because of
Michael's death. Like, get the fuck out of here! What are you talking about? You sound crazy. You're pushing the fucking goalpost.
When's the last time? When's the last time?
You're fucking out of control. You're out of control. You're out of control. You're out of control. Stop it.
Are you done? Are you done? Are you done? So Vari, let me go to your point.
No. Let's go back to the factuals. We don't know Michael Jordan's father was a gambler. He's the last time got in that situation because of Michael.
When's the last time, Vari, that you heard LeVar Ball or saw LeVar Ball beefing with someone on the side of the court? A star, a member of the media. When did you see that? Right. So the actions that John Morant sees his father, you know, he's on the side of the court fighting with Shannon Sharp, beefing with Shannon Sharp. You don't see a problem with that?
He wasn't.
These are the actions you're displaying in front of your son, right? To say, hey, I'm a thug. We gonna fight. We gonna see him. You think he went to the back and was like, yo, nah, I was wrong. You think he went to John Morant and was like, yo, I'm wrong. Oh no, it didn't
happen. Shannon Sharp was more into it with the Grizzlies team. T. Morant and him were exchanging words, and they weren't even trying to fight each other. They were actually trying to get to each other and piece it up. They literally walked off of that court hugging one another, showing that hey, it's all good. Here's the other thing. When you bring up LeVar Ball, this man was literally getting vilified because he was on ESPN arguing with pundits and being crazy and all this. And then when the middle kid got in trouble for stealing, we had the same fucking conversation. Oh, it's his father's fault that he just wanted to steal. This dude was raised in Chino Hills in a $500,000 house. He wasn't taught to do that, and he made a fucking mistake. His father couldn't control that. His father, said he's going to have a conversation with him. He did what he did. This kid got 3 NBA-age sons, none of them in jail. He did what he had to do. You can't, as a parent, control everything your kid does. That's just the reality of life. That's just the reality of life. That's how it goes.
I mean, you do the best that you can to set them up for success in the future, teach them the lessons, all that kind of stuff like that. And then once they reach a certain age or they decide on their own when they, become an adult that they're ready to go out into the wild, you hope for the best. You know what I mean? And it's sometimes where, that kid is going to do something that you definitely didn't teach them to do. When I was a fucking kid, when I was like, 11, 12 years old, I used to steal from the corner store. My mom never stole a thing in her life, as far as I know. So I didn't learn that from her. It was something I did. I never got caught, but I used to do the shit or whatever. And so, if I had got caught, right, and then people said, "Oh, what the fuck was his mom doing?" Like my mom had what I don't even think she knew about that shit.
Completely innocent.
You know what I mean?
Completely innocent. So, same as if Vari in that same instance. If you're in active duty and you now serving your country and you have to kill someone, there's a lot of black people that go over and serve the military that were raised in homes where people were telling them, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. But guess what? I went to the military. I became a fucking a killer. And here's what I want to do. I made my own decision. That's what happens. That's just what happens. Shit. I mean, what are we talking about?
I'm watching T. Morant right here being held back in an argument with Shannon Sharp. That's what I'm watching. That's what you're watching. That's what your eyes are seeing.
Back from the very beginning.
No, he wasn't.
The dude.
I'll rewind it. You want me to rewind it and show you?
Nah,
Want me
keep
to show
going,
you?
keep going. Because at the end of this, Shannon Sharp and T Morant hug at the end of it all. So what are we talking about?
We're talking about the fact that John Morant sees his
Look,
father on the
T
sideline,
and that has nothing. There's no guns involved.
trying to be a thug.
There's not trying to be a thug. There's no guns involved. The dude's in a purple sweater. What's thugged
So,
out about him?
so the only act of violence you're talking about that thugs portray is with guns, right? That's
There
what you're
wasn't
saying.
even. There was John Morant is
Listen,
not a thug.
listen,
John Morant
listen.
went to a private school his whole life. Now, if you're
What's that mean?
telling me,
What's that mean?
are you telling me that T Morant raised John Morant to be a thug? Is that what you're telling me?
What I said to you is that the actions that he sees his father displaying on the sideline don't show those to say, hey, you shouldn't be in trouble. Those are basically saying, yo, he wants it. He's talking shit. You need to go get it. That's what I'm seeing if
So
I'm a
what
kid,
happened on the
23 years old,
sideline?
watching my father on the sideline.
So what happened on the sideline influenced John Morant?
You can listen, you
to
can
get a
take it and
gun
you can
smack a
put
kid.
your spin on it all you want. What I'm saying is when I look at my father as a man or as a boy,
Mhm.
looking at my father and I see his actions walking away from something and not engaging tell me a different story than being on the sideline getting into a heated debate with another man. None of that. You didn't hear none of this from John Morant before that happened. After that happened, you see him
Apparently
now. He's
he
fighting.
did.
Now he's fighting with the Pacers. Now
Apparently
you're seeing
he
him on.
did.
Now you're seeing him on the sideline beating up 17-year-old kids.
John
You're hearing
Morant
about him
had
going to
John
the
Morant
mall.
had scuffs
Come on,
last
man.
year. What are we talking about? You talking like this is the first time John's been in anything? That situation even wasn't with John Morant. It was Steven Sharp. It was Shannon Sharp and Steven Adams
You're right.
going at it
You're
more
right.
than anything. So what are we talking about?
And who
You
was on
sound
the
crazy.
sideline? Who was
You
on the
sound
sideline?
crazy.
So if
You're
it had
telling me
if it
T.
had nothing to
Morant's
do with John
actions-
Morant, if it had nothing to do with John Morant, why was T Morant there?
You're
Well,
telling me T. Morant's
Should he
actions-
have been there? Should he have been there? Let me
So-
ask you.
Go ahead,
let me
Vari. I'm
say
gonna let
this
you be the
real
voice
quick
of reason.
on the
Do this,
T
Vari.
And just answer the question. Let me ask you a simple question: yes or no? Should T
He's
Morant have made
courtside. What are
it?
you talking about?
Should he have made his way around the court from one side of the court to the other to speak to Shannon Sharp about a heated debate he was having with another player? Yes or no? That's
No.
it. That's it. And then I'll dead it.
No, but that has nothing
All right, I'm
to
done.
do with
I'm done.
That
I'm
has
done.
nothing to do with John
I'm
Morant
done.
toting guns.
That's fine. And you're
You
welcome
didn't
to your
prove any
opinion.
point. You didn't
You're
prove
welcome to your
anything.
opinion. My opinion is that T Morant had no business being over there.
We don't disagree.
You
We don't
started this.
disagree.
Okay, you
No,
started this
I
20
started
minutes ago.
I started
You-
to saying
What
that
was the
John
first thing you
Morant's
said?
actions T. Morant should not be blamed for what his son does.
Mhm.
You're saying because he got up to go confront Shannon Sharp is the
Mhm.
reason John Morant carries guns.
That's
Are
your
you saying
that's your
that?
interpretation. That's
So
your
what's
interpretation.
so
That's
what's
your
your connection
perception.
then? What's
That's
your
your
connection then?
perception.
No, help
My
us. What's your
point.
connection then?
You said at the
No, what's
beginning
your
of this.
connection?
You
Answer
said
my
at the
question.
big. Let me finish.
Oh my god.
At the beginning of this, you started by saying T. Morant doesn't deserve any backlash. It's
No,
not
that's not what I
fair.
said.
He's
That's
a
not what I
great
said.
father. He sent
not
him
what
to
I said.
public school, private
not what I
school.
said.
He made him go to the league.
not
This
what
is
I said.
everything you said,
That's
EJ.
not what I said. No, it's
So
not.
if you listen just for
I
once,
said he
you
didn't
don't even
raise
hear what
him.
you're saying because you talk too
No,
much.
you're not
That's the
hearing what I'm
problem.
saying. You're not hearing what I'm
That's
saying.
the
'cause
problem.
You're not hearing what I'm saying because you want to just blame T. Morant for John Morant being a dumbass.
Vari, is there any truth to him saying that T. Morant shouldn't have any blame? Was there
run
truth
the
to
tape
that?
back. No,
I
run the tape
I
back.
would say
No,
That was the first thing you said 20 minutes
to it.
ago.
No, it's not.
EJ did say that, but you're leaving
no.
out some context.
No, I said he shouldn't get. I think it's unfair all of the smoke that he's getting. I didn't say he shouldn't get any.
Okay.
So again,
so we changed words to make it sound
no,
different, but you're
okay
saying
with
the
that.
same thing. Okay,
I
Trump.
literally started
All right,
with that.
Trump,
It's
you got
unfair.
it.
No,
You got it,
you're
Trump.
Trump by saying you're Trump by saying a dude walking up
never
to
said
another
that.
man on the court is the reason his son is toting guns and smacking 17-year-olds. You sound fucking stupid, man. You sound stupid.
Mhm.
Sound stupid.
So
Sound stupid.
T. Morant deserves the smoke, and the reason T. Morant deserves the smoke is because he's on the sideline portraying this persona of a gangster and a thug over here fighting with another person when he shouldn't be. Plain and simple. You said he shouldn't have been there. I'm saying he shouldn't have been there. If he didn't do that, then the media might not be spinning it towards him.
Let me ask you a question. So are you saying specifically that T. Morant's actions on the sideline from that game is the reason John Morant is carrying guns?
No, okay. I said that's why he's getting the smoke. That's why he's getting the smoke, and that's why he deserves it. That's the point. You started this saying he doesn't deserve the smoke, and I'm saying he deserves the smoke, and that's the reason why.
That's not what I said. I said he's getting unfair smoke for John Morant.
Then it's fair. Let me change this. You said it's unfair. I'm saying it's fair, and that's why.
and you're saying
Does
it's
that
fair
sound better?
because you're saying it's fair because he was on the sideline and he tried to engage with Shannon Sharp. So
That's
it's
right.
fair. It's fair that he gets in trouble or he gets a bad rap
Is he in trouble?
because Ja Morant.
Yes,
Let me retract that.
it's fair.
It's fair because Ja Morant decides to tote guns and act like a gangster.
Now you're
because his
changing what you're
father.
saying.
No,
Now you're changing what you're saying.
No, I'm asking you, is this what you're saying? Because of his actions on the sidelines, this is what excuses Ja Morant, or this is what gives us the right to get at T Morant because Ja Morant does stupid shit.
Yes, absolutely.
And
As media personnel, the only thing that I know of T Morant that I've seen in recent history, the most recent thing is him getting into it with Shannon Sharp on the sideline. Now we're seeing his son get into all types of issues with violence. As a media professional, I'm going to use that and I'm going to give him the smoke. And yes, he deserves it. And yes, he deserves it.
A lot of the incidents he's got in trouble with so far have happened. Some of them have happened before that incident.
One beating up the 17-year-old.
Okay, so what happened before that you know of, that you can go off of?
What does that have to do with the smoke
I'm
he's
asking
getting?
you.
You're changing. You're moving the goalposts.
You said because of the sideline thing that's what Ja sees, and he wants to be that now. But
see, you're moving the goalposts again. What I'm
Var,
saying right now.
Var, did he say that? He said T Morant's actions on the sideline has influenced Ja Morant to act like a thug.
It's not showing him anything otherwise.
Yeah, an incident.
It's not showing him otherwise.
Hold up, an incident that he has happened before the sideline. So what happened to that? What was T Morant doing that influenced Ja to smack the 17-year-old? What happened before that? We don't know, right?
Let me ask you a question.
I asked you when you have answered.
Clearly he was sending him to private school and he was being a great model father.
What happened? What happened?
According to you, he was a model father because he sent his kid to private school.
Steve,
what happened?
At the end of the day, like we were saying earlier, all you can do is teach your kids the lessons. You know what I mean? My own kid, I asked him one day, yo, why do you go to the bus stop so late? Like it seems like you're barely making it or whatever. And he gives me this, this answer that don't sound right. So I keep probing or whatever. And it turns out there's some kids on the bus stop that are fucking with him. So he goes out there right in time for the bus. So that way, it's not a lot of lingering. He gets there, the bus is there, he gets on the bus, no problem. You know what I'm saying? And so I talk to him and say, hey, you can't allow that shit to happen. Like, one, you're bigger than most of these kids. Don't be letting them fuck around you. They all this kind of shit. He hears that and he goes to school the next day. These same kids aren't even the kids that was fucking with him. He gets in a lunch line. Somebody skips him. And he goes 0 to 100. And next thing you know, this kid is on the fucking floor for cutting him in the lunch line. And he was like, well, you said
You're making my point. Thank you. Thanks, I appreciate that.
But then we talk again, and I talk to him about responding proportional to the actions of the other. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't had any more incidents since then. You know what I mean? Hey, if somebody's doing some shit to you, you can respond. But somebody cuts you in the lunch line, is not this kid ends up on the floor.
Can you sum up the point of what you're saying
before Steve? You're making my point.
Before Steve puts your words, I was actually speaking. Can you make the point of that? Hey, you told him to do one thing. He decided as an individual to do another thing that wasn't exactly what you taught him to do, and you couldn't control it. However, you corrected it. Again, we don't know what T is saying to Ja now. We don't know. Because to your point, he shouldn't.
We know what he showed him. But we know what he showed him.
No, we don't. No.
I just showed you the video of what he showed him.
He didn't show him anything.
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough for him to get smoked. That's not enough to get smoked.
Hey, you're insane. You are.
Is that not enough for him to get smoked?
Hey, and you know what? You speak from a point of privilege. You speak from a point of privilege because you haven't been a parent long enough.
It's enough for him to get smoked.
It's tough to say that you're going to give this guy smoke just for that video. One, it's a video with no sound, so we don't know what's being said. You know what I mean? All we know is what we see.
Do we know body language? Can you read body language?
We also ignore the fact that at the end of before they even got off the court, both of those men embraced and hugged each other.
That was at the end of the game.
That's also what Ja sees.
That was at the end of the game.
Doesn't matter when it happens. He also sees his father embrace a man that he potentially had conflict with love. But we're not talking about that part though.
He created conflict.
To your point.
He created the conflict.
To your point. No, he didn't create the conflict.
He didn't?
No,
He
there was
didn't,
conflict already between Shannon Sharp and the players.
and the
Shannon Sharp,
players, right?
the whole reason
So how
Shannon
does
Sharp
that
was getting
engage? How does that involve T Morant? So
Shannon
how?
Sharp, now he's
Just answer the
blaming T
question.
Morant. Now he's blaming T Morant for having an issue with the Grizzlies player overall. Okay, you're right. Yep, it's all T
So
Morant's fault.
from
Blame
from
T
my
for everything.
understanding, from
Jesus
my understanding
Christ,
of the situation, Steve,
you're nasty.
is from Shannon Sharp's point of view, he's at the game. You know, he's a big Lakers fan. He's a big LeBron fan. And something happened. I think LeBron did something.
And he
And
talks
Shannon
shit.
starts shit talking to the
Yep.
Grizzlies.
Yes.
Yep.
Ja and the Grizzlies.
Yep.
Start barking back. Yeah.
Yeah, they start
No,
barking back.
specifically a Memphis Grizzly player, not Ja Morant, told Shannon Sharp to shut the fuck up or something like
Yeah.
that.
And then
And it
that
wasn't
whole
Ja
thing
Morant.
Right. And then that whole thing
So you're
happened.
making it worse. So why is T Morant over there? You can't even spin it to say he's protecting his son. Now you just threw that out the window.
Right.
I
But
didn't
Steve,
wasn't trying to.
So you're being lawyered. You lost. All right. Next topic.
No.
Proceed.
You're just ridiculous. You're just
Proceed.
ridiculous.
My
If
point
T
here.
Morant was white, you wouldn't say nothing. Next topic.
It's nice being ignorant, isn't
You
it?
hate black fathers.
No, I hate you, and you're a black father. That doesn't mean I hate all black fathers.
You hate yourself.
See how you muted yourself? Look at that. T Morant should have never been on that side of the court. End of story. Plain and simple. Whatever he did,
You hate black fathers. You just hate.
Morant shouldn't have been.
Nah,
in that situation.
you're right. We don't argue that. Nobody argue that. You're the only one that's arguing that.
So that's
T.
it.
But that has nothing to do with Ja Morant carrying guns.
Right.
You hate T Morant, period, because he celebrates his son on the sidelines and gets pressed for it. But remember this shit right now. When his son becomes
narrative,
when his son
narrative,
becomes,
EJ, you're spinning narrative.
remember this. Remember this moment, because when his son becomes a 5-star football player, and this motherfucker is at the University of Florida on the sidelines in his baby blue Jordans, we gonna pull his back up and say, sit your ass the fuck back in the stands. Get your ass back in the fucking stands. We gonna remember this shit.
You're spinning narrative. The only thing I ever said about T Morant was that what it appears to be from him is that he's only on the sideline to meet stars. At the end of the game, he walks down, he goes, "Hey Usher, how you doing?" Shake his hand.
He's from Atlanta. He knows Usher. He literally knows Usher. He knows Usher. He literally knows Usher already.
Look, if I've been a regular person my entire life, and my son got famous enough to where I could meet Jay-Z or Beyonce or something, I would take that opportunity.
He has a relationship with Usher though already.
So you can't compare him to LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball's out there fighting and getting into arguments.
LeVar Ball got the same smoke. He got the same smoke. He literally got the same smoke.
So let's do this. We've all heard each other. Let's put a pin in it, and then maybe we'll come back after we process the information.
We can't get through it because Steve hates black fathers. He hates T Morant for being on the sideline. He hates T Morant for supporting his son. He just hates T Morant. He just hates T Morant.
T Morant's trash. He went on the sideline to try to fight a football player. Like, come on, dude. You're 5'7", 5'9", college basketball player. I get it. You played with UConn. I get it. You played with Ray Allen. Tough guy. That's Shannon Sharp. That's a big guy. That's a big guy.
He's 5'7". He tried to fight Shannon Sharp now.
He's about to get beat up. That's the fuck is about to happen. He's about to get beat the fuck up by a guy in a blue sweater.
Bro, you're out of control. You're nasty.
Give me the guy in the blue sweater all day.
Kevin Durant hurt again. Big surprise. Surprise there.
Kevin Durant rolled his ankle in a fucking layup line.
Was it slippery? Or because it looked like he just slipped, like it was slippery or something.
Nah, he rolled it.
I seen that, but it looked like it was slippery, like he was trying to take off, and it just
everything's slippery when your legs are fucking 30 pounds of your 180-pound body. Like
his legs are like the size of my arms.
He's super small. He's I don't know, man. I don't know what's up with Kevin Durant. Like it's an unfair and it's a shame because this guy can be so good when he's on it. Same thing like AD, right? We give AD all the smoke in the world, right? We look at AD and we're like, this guy's Mr. Glass, always hurt, right? KD is the same, and nobody's really giving him that smoke. Not the way he should.
Who's nobody on this podcast?
Oh, that's right. This is the only thing that matters.
I'm just saying. I've been saying this.
When
I've been
has anyone given Kevin Durant a
Nah, you're
nickname?
right, and you're right. I believe that he's gotten a pass for not being durable. As all the
And
criticism everybody else gets, he does not get it.
I think it's purely just because I mean, yeah, you can compare him to AD, right? But like, I think when you look at them career wise, as well as like their impact on Kevin Durant is in a different league than AD, and I think that helps him get a pass. It's just that this guy is so good, he could change your franchise, kind of. You know what I mean?
But
Whereas,
AD could do that too.
I mean, but AD's not
Then
the
he's
guy.
on the floor.
He's not the guy though. Like
He's
KD's the
carrying
guy.
the Lakers right now without
He didn't. He
superhero
didn't carry.
LeBron.
He didn't help. He didn't carry them. He wasn't the X factor. I think what Vari's
Right.
saying is that Kevin Durant was the X factor. Is the X factor versus AD. If he's AD, yeah, he's gonna be a piece. But if he's just AD by himself, he's not.
Right.
It's not the X factor.
I could see somebody perceiving it that way. As KD being the X factor. And I could even get on board with that line of thinking. But someone that was being, that wanted to argue that statement would say KD went to Golden State. Golden State had just won. It's not like he went there and then they won. They won.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not saying it from that standpoint. Like he is, like especially with Golden State. The point that I'm making is that when you look at a player like a KD, like a LeBron, right? Cleveland is a perennial loser. They draft LeBron, they're making the playoffs every season.
Mhm.
He leaves, they go from winning 50 games to only winning 19 games. He comes back, they go from winning 19 games to winning 50 games, and they win a championship over the 3-4 years he was there.
A little more than just
You see what I'm
LeBron
saying?
doing that, though. But I get your
What,
point.
what
I
else
get it.
was it? But
Kyrie Irving,
Mhm.
Kevin Love.
Kyrie was there the year before when they won 19 games.
Oh my god! Go ahead.
Was he not?
They won more than
not
19.
making that up.
You speaking facts, Vari. Go ahead.
Okay.
The year, actually,
know I didn't dream
the year they won 19 games was the year they drafted Kyrie. That's how they got the pick. But go
Okay.
ahead.
But yeah, the year they drafted LeBron, they didn't win 19 games.
No. What I'm saying is that the year they won 19 was the
No.
Let me
He
finish.
drafted LeBron. He was a rookie. They didn't win 19 games. Am I wrong there too?
Listen. They didn't win 19 games on Kyrie's rookie year, is what I'm saying. They won 19 games the year before they drafted Kyrie Irving. That's what I'm saying. That 19 win season is what led to them drafting Kyrie Irving. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Don't listen. You make your KD point. Leave LeBron out because you're gonna turn this. You're making this bad. You're making it sound like LeBron is a superhero and he saved Cleveland's life after he threw them off the building.
Like activated your LeBron hate like a bat signal or some shit. So we had to talk.
No, because you made a fabricated statement. You said LeBron went back to Cleveland and he won a championship, as if he didn't go back with Kyrie, with Kevin Love.
Won a championship.
You did say
I
that.
said they won 19 games. He came back. They started winning 50 games and including a championship because it wasn't right when he got back. They won.
But that was all LeBron, right?
LeBron was the biggest factor in the reason that happened. I mean, I don't even think that's debatable.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop. The biggest shot in that series was Kyrie Irving. That was the biggest shot in the series.
But do they get to where they are without LeBron?
They get to the finals if LeBron is not on that team.
Can't say they would or they wouldn't.
No,
They
stop
would.
it. Stop it.
They would.
Just stop it.
It's not a sure thing. Like you could say Golden State would have gotten there without KD because they did.
I'm not.
That's a sure thing.
You're incredibly nasty today.
Yes.
That's a sure thing.
You're incredibly nasty.
Listen, man, I'm about facts today. Y'all about what ifs. That's a what if.
Hear about alternative facts.
What if LeBron didn't go there? Well, someone else might have gone there and they would have won. Maybe Kyrie would have gotten it done.
You're right. Steve from the Castworthy podcast is on record to say that if LeBron James wasn't on the Cleveland Cavaliers, they would have made it to the finals without
potentially if someone else had gone.
Okay.
What if KD?
No. What if no one else went?
Then they wouldn't have won. But if KD would have went, he might have done the same thing.
It wasn't an option.
It is now.
Anyway, But KD is that type of player. You put him on a franchise, and it's gonna change the trajectory. It's why when he joined Brooklyn, people automatically were like, "Yo,
Sorry, you
I
don't
got
have
them
to
in the Eastern
explain to
Conference
me
Finals."
KD's greatness. I said KD is one of the guys, a few guys. There's 5 guys I would say today, or not today, in history that you could say when we talked about LeBron breaking the record, that they need 32 points or 33 points or 37 points, and you know for sure they're gonna go out and get it. And KD is one of those guys.
Unless he gets
KD,
hurt.
Steve,
Unless he gets hurt.
we all understand that. All 3 of us understand that. The reason that we're having this discussion right now is because when I made that point, you said, I mean, AD is one of those type of guys too. And we were like, no, he's not. That's how we
got him.
but he is. But when he's healthy, when he's healthy, he's good.
So
when he's healthy,
yeah,
he's one of your 5.
He's
He's one of your
healthy,
5 guys. He's one of your 5 guys that if they need to break the record that day, they need 42 points. He's gonna get it. Is he
No.
one of your guys?
Absolutely not.
Shut your ass up then. Shut your
exactly.
ass up. Shut
Absolutely
your
not.
ass up then.
But he's still a beast.
This guy,
But he's still
nasty today. You are
Yo,
out
do
of control today.
y'all forget that here's the problem. Y'all forget last year and the year before and the year before and so on when people were saying AD was the greatest power forward to play the game. He could potentially be the greatest power forward to play a game. And then he started getting injured. Like, we can't downplay AD and say that KD doesn't get the smoke because he's better than AD.
Level. That's what Vari's saying.
That's the
He's
point.
not one of those 5 guys that can get you
volume.
that 42 points.
Only because of volume, though. We don't know that because we haven't seen him play. The guy's always hurt. And now we're seeing KD's always hurt. So we don't know if KD could do that today. We're assuming he could because of what we've seen.
KD was that guy. KD was that guy before he hurt his Achilles in that series. He's always been that guy. He was drafted. He was that guy. He's been that guy. We know that from his body.
But now he can't play. But now he can't play more than 2 games without getting hurt.
No, we're not debating that.
And
part,
he deserves the smoke.
No, we're not debating that part. We with you. We agree with you on that. But he's not. AD is not one of those guys.
This whole thing started because I said I don't think KD gets the smoke because he's been the guy. And then you said, I mean, AD's the guy too. No, he's not.
But was KD the guy? Tell me when KD was the guy.
His whole career until he hurt his Achilles.
Tell me when. He's been that guy since he was on the Thunder. He's been that guy.
Let's define the guy, right? Because KD left to go get a chip.
Bro, you already answered your own question. You already answered your own question. Is AD or has AD ever been? Let me expand it to give you a better bone to work with here. Has AD ever been that guy to be one of your top 5 guys at any point that if they need 42 points to break a record, scoring record, that they could just go get it? Is AD that guy? AD's been that guy to you.
You said ever, yes. I'll say ever, yes.
That.
Today, maybe not. Ever, yes.
I can respect that.
In New Orleans, yes.
I can respect that.
To give our audience a glimpse behind the curtain, I think we need to make a ruling that Steve can no longer take a shit before the pod because he's different today.
I told you he's nasty. He's nasty.
Maybe I'm the only one that's not full of shit. Maybe y'all need to take a shit. Maybe that's what needs to happen. I'm keeping it 100, and y'all out here fucking pandering and tiptoeing and tap dancing around the feelings of superstars who don't give a shit about us. Y'all full of shit. Matter of fact, go take a shit now, both of y'all. I'll entertain everybody while y'all are gone.
That was a good one. That was
pretty good.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
What else is going on?
What's up with your man Tiger Woods, man? Tiger Woods?
He can't.
What's up with your man Tiger Woods?
It's like he can't find a good relationship, man.
When you got millions of dollars, they don't want a relationship from you. That's his problem. He needs to get NDAs and he needs to start paying for it. Stop thinking these hoes love you.
But this is what I think he needs to do.
I just told you what he needs to do.
His instincts on women aren't right. You know what I mean?
Oh my god!
So when he sees a chick and he's like, "Yo, I'm really feeling shorty right there," he should be like, "She not for me."
There's been like 50 of them though. So he's been wrong that many times,
right? So his whole radar is off. So anybody that he's attracted to, he should be like, "She not for me."
Bruh, he's a millionaire dork. Like, he should just pay for it. Just go get NDAs. Just go pay for it, man. Just go pay for it. Just be happy. Go mail get a mail order bride. Just go to Europe, like VP said. Just pay for it, bro. It's
Well,
Nah,
you know, it
just
might be.
people need companionship, man. Even rich people
Right.
need companionship. This I'm gonna go on record and say
you're gonna pay
Tiger
one way or the other.
Tiger Woods need to go get him a black woman. He can get a black woman.
Nigga, ain't you the one that always said he didn't need a black woman?
Yes. No. I never said him.
Oh,
I said you. I said you need to go find yourself something different. You need to go dabble in some vanilla ice cream or something.
Let me ask you. Let me
But
ask you guys.
Tiger Woods is constantly think about his first wife, right? She was a Caucasian queen, and now his not even his wife. He didn't even marry this broad, and she's asking for 30 million. Like the audacity,
called Cassidy.
the audacity. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what?
I'm just telling you, you should just go pay
I'm
for
gonna
it.
champion. No, I'm not gonna say that. Forget it. That
Let
would
me
be
ask you
going
this.
too
Let me,
far.
let me
Go
throw.
ahead.
Let me throw a theory out at you guys. See what you think.
Here we go.
What if? Because I think Tiger probably would be better served by dating somebody on his level. You know what I mean? Like not
Hmm.
like dating somebody who already got it. You know
Like
what I mean?
Nia Long.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like somebody like that, right?
Nah, Nia Long
But
seemed kind of. She
but
bad, but she's crazy.
what if
Wow.
what if Tiger's interested in some shit that somebody who already got it ain't into?
Ain't
What
gonna
you mean,
do it.
like
You know,
peeing
so
on them or
he,
something?
I don't know. I'm just
That
saying.
might just be the start.
I mean, they might be into it too. You never know. These people just because they rich don't mean they ain't
That's
freaks.
true.
No,
Listen,
I get, but I'm saying like
we don't.
if you meet some broad, just because she see you in the VIP popping bottles, she know you Tiger, so she down for whatever.
That's why I
Versus you
said
meeting a
he
Leah
could
Long,
pay
and she's
for
like,
it.
what? You know what I'm
Nah,
saying?
listen. We assuming that they ain't
You wanna
they ain't
you
in
wanna
that.
put your
We
big toe
assuming.
where, you nasty man?
Who was it? Who was it? We assume. Listen, we assuming that they ain't into all of that. Number one.
Trey
I
Songz
was about to
peeing
say
on
Trey
people.
Songz was going crazy. Listen, man, these dudes just need to get NDAs and just go pay for it, man. Just go pay for it. Just go pay for it. You could
Yeah,
buy companionship. You could
nah.
take them out on a date. They
You
could
still
listen
need
to you for a while.
you, you still need somebody to come on. Listen, you can
Mhm,
pay for all of it. You can pay for a maid. You can pay for someone to cook for you, like all of that.
mhm, mhm.
But you can't pay for somebody that will put up with shit stains in your drawers. Like that one day that you almost lost the battle on the way home. I don't even want the maid to see that. You know what I'm saying? You need someone that actually loves you. Your wife will do that, and that's
No,
why Tiger don't
he could pay for that. He could pay somebody that deals with the shit stains. What else? Give me something else that he can't pay for. Give me something else. When you
companionship.
say companionship, what does that mean? What does that look like?
Rubbing your back, having a conversation,
There's,
actually
there's a, mis- a conversation.
caring
A
about your
conver-
failures,
Nah,
a
actually caring
EJ,
conversation.
about your
There's a
failures.
therapist for that. There's a therapist
nah,
for
Nah,
that.
EJ. Steve is right here.
Here we
There,
go.
there's it's levels.
what's the
You know,
timestamp on that?
because
1 minute, 1 hour,
it's
23.
times where I've woken up in the middle of the night, with some kind of
He
trauma,
about to get
you know,
divorced. I can see where the
and
story's
and
going. Aaron gonna kick
and
him out right now.
you know,
Go ahead.
and my wife puts her hand on me and say, "Hey, it's okay, I'm right here."
he could pay for that too.
Nah, it's
That's
different though.
that's talk. That's having
It's not
somebody
just
watch you for a
the
sleep
words
study.
though. It's not just the words though. You know what I mean? Like,
Nah, I'm
hey,
with
I
you. I
got
hear
you.
you. I
It's
hear you.
all good.
Hey, buddy, but you don't count. You're like one of 5% in the world. You married your fucking high school sweetheart. I don't want to hear the shit from you. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. You don't even exist. You motherfuckers do not even exist in the world anymore. It doesn't happen anymore. Okay? Listen to me, Tiger Woods. Okay, look right here, buddy. Go get you some NDAs and just line them up. Have them sign it all, and just have one that rubs your back. Have one that drives the golf cart. Have one that rubs your back. All of that shit, and just be done. Just pay and be done. Just pay and be done. I'm just saying.
That's what got him in trouble the first time dealing with multiples. He
But
got
Mhm.
to find.
he didn't get no NDAs. That was the problem. And he
No,
was
I
married.
think, Mari, I think you're right. I think the key for him is finding somebody that's not like somebody that got more than $2,000 in their bank account. Like you go out and find these baddies in the club that got they there free before 11 for a reason. You know,
Right.
Like Chris Rock said, if you gotta pay for your own abortion, you should probably get an abortion because you shouldn't
yo,
be with him. 'Cause you
Oh my
chose the wrong dude.
wow.
You date yourself so badly. The free before 11, and you're like, yo, I don't even think clubs work like that anymore.
No, they do. They do in college
Mm.
towns, like on here.
Yeah.
True.
But that's what it is. I think he needs Tiger Woods. Listen, man.
He needs
And
a
you got to know
financial equal.
you also have to know that you're going to get this right. And this kind of goes back, and I'm not trying to open the can, but this kind of goes back to reputation and what you portray. Right? We've already seen Tiger Woods be in hot water for something in the past,
He's
whatever
a
it was.
target.
Right? With his wife, so he's a target. So
He's a target.
this little thing, she may not even wanted to ask for it.
She don't even look good.
She might have just had a friend or somebody that might have hit her up like, "Yo, weren't you just in a relationship with Tiger? You about to walk away with nothing?
Right.
Try. It's
So
like they tell you in
It
sales,
was the plan from the beginning.
right? It's like they tell you in sales, if you don't ask for the sale, you ain't never gonna get it. So the worst case that can happen to her, it don't matter. She's walking away sans Tiger dick, no dick anyway. You know what I mean? They gonna break up. She might walk away with 30 million because that's what she asked for. He might settle and give her 1 million. Either way, she's making out. She
Either
might walk
way.
away with zero and end up on the tabloids and get some type of interview somewhere.
Interviews, yep, exactly.
She's making out. So
she might write a book what it's like to date Tiger.
yeah, he's an easy. And then she
Easy
could
mark.
make lies up. She could make up some lie and say, "Hey, this is what we was doing." Like VP said, we was doing this in the bedroom. He nasty. You know what I'm saying? And people believe it.
What he also may need to do is it kind of, I don't know if you guys watched the documentary on Harry and Meghan Markle, or Markle, however he said.
Mm-mm.
But they talk about how they met or whatever, and they actually met through a friend. And maybe he needs like a friend who already
Tiger
knows.
ain't got no friends, bro. We know
But
Tiger.
I'm using that as an example, though. You know what I mean? Because like,
no, I get you, but honestly, we could say Tiger ain't got no friends, bro. Like everything that's happened in his life, there is no drinking buddy of his that's been on his side to be like, dog, let me take the wheel, dog. You the cash cow. No, stop, dog. If he had some real friends, he'd be like, look, man, give me $5 million. I got you. I'm gonna bump this off. You know what I mean? Just put money on my books. You good, bro. He ain't got no friends,
the friend thing didn't work for Mackenzie neither, because look at her.
No, but I'm saying for who?
Mackenzie.
Who was that?
What's his name's wife? Jeff Bezos. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying this.
her.
I'm not saying that the shit is ironclad, but I'm just saying that, at least instead of meeting a random,
they could say, yeah, that's a nice guy.
At least somebody can vouch for this person to be like, yo, she's cool, she's like this, boo, boo, boo. You know what I mean? And then you see what happens once y'all get together, if y'all connect or whatever,
I think y'all right, man. Tiger needs somebody on his level that's got some dough. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, because he's a target at this point. He's a mark.
Yeah, he should
it's too easy.
Checks all the boxes.
Listen,
I would never get what. If I was rich, I would never get with Mackenzie after seeing what she did with Bezos' money. Like this bitch took his money and didn't even keep it.
But if
like
and then got with a science teacher, who she's gonna owe some money now.
Imagine if somebody broke in your house and stole all your shit and then just gave it to homeless people. They ain't even take it to the pawn shop. Like that's what she did, yo. Like she's dirty, yo. She's dirty.
Oh, shit.
Like, I'll be mad, yo. Like, yo, is that my TV? Where do you get my TV from? This guy gave it to me. He said that he was moving out of state.
Cowboy slippers. Is that my robe? What
at least take it and sell it, yo. That's basically Mackenzie. If I was rich, I would never even look in her direction, yo.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, if you're rich and you end up like in a situation where you could date Mackenzie, I'm pretty sure she's going to be richer than you. Because she's not
for rich. Now, until she finished giving it all away, until she wake up being some type of weird ass thespian. You know what? I think there's a little Asian kid over there that needs $7 billion. Let me give it all away, bitch. You need to relax.
It's gonna be 10 niggas in Compton. It's gonna be 10 niggas in Compton fronting on a profile. Like
she's been giving tens of millions of dollars to HBCUs now. Don't get EJ started.
Hey, he already said it. He said she gave to the homeless. You heard that part, right? You heard that part, right? Yo, speaking of money, man. Let's get into the NFL, man.
You think she deserves that $30 million though? We
Who?
never got to that.
Hell no.
His girlfriend, his
She
ex.
don't deserve $30.
Mackenzie?
No.
No, Tiger Woods'
Tiger
girlfriend.
Woods. So Tiger
Oh,
Woods'
hell
ex.
no. Fuck no.
Hell no. She don't deserve $30.
Does she deserve anything? Her argument is
No, nothing.
No.
Nothing.
she doesn't get to make the same argument as Vanessa
No.
Bryant.
No.
He wasn't
Hell
going to be
no.
shooting in the
Vanessa
gym.
Bryant? What? No.
No.
Are you kidding me?
Hell no.
I know they
No.
were married. She bared his kids and
Stop
everything,
it.
but
We're not
so
gonna
her
talk about
argument,
Vanessa.
y'all don't even yet. Let me just let me finish. Her
No,
argument,
you're
her
blasphemous.
argument is, I was in that house and I was doing, things, right?
Oh, that did sound like sex work.
It did, but it
Maybe
could have
you didn't
been.
pay the bill.
It could have been what I'm talking about: the companionship, the listening to him dump his stress on her, whatever. We don't know what it all entails, right? You don't think she deserves nothing, zero?
Maybe he
I'm
didn't pay the bill.
I'm curious from the local feminist how he feels about this.
Nothing. Nada.
This is a hardworking young lady that
No.
that
Because we don't know that, right? We don't know that. Now, if there's some kind of evidence showing that this was like a situationship, you know what I mean? Like to EJ's point where he's paying for it and the shit didn't get paid for, I think I can entertain the argument. But if this is just like, oh, I was his girlfriend, nah, duh, no.
I kept the house clean.
30 million is pretty high.
She didn't keep the house clean. Come on, dog. Let's
30 million is pretty high. So I mean, she
paid the bills.
Just get 100K and keep it moving.
Come on, dog.
Just get 100K and keep it moving at this point.
I wouldn't give her shit.
See, that's what happens. People too greedy. So you're saying she's too greedy, but Lamar Jackson not too greedy?
No, because at this
see
point,
that segue? Segue king. That's what I do.
The way she's doing it at this point, you know me. I'm petty, and so just like we talked about in the beginning with me dealing with the VA, it's like, okay, I'll play your game, no problem. You know what I'm saying? No problem.
Nasty work.
Do you think Tiger makes it go away?
I would
like if you were Tiger, would you just make it go away? Like, here's what's gonna make this go away, and she'd be like,
because
what's the acceptable number?
If you make it go away, EJ already said Tiger's a target. You make it go away, you essentially put a bullseye on yourself.
You gonna line yourself up for the next one?
Her best friend. Yeah, you're right.
You can't make it go. You're Tiger. In order to make it go away, he got to see it through and make there be some pain to show people, yo, don't come for me.
Yeah, because at this point,
and then
be
counter
in the bathroom with Tiger. At this point, you could just be in the bathroom with Tiger at some golf club and be like, "He touched me. He touched me."
I'm about to do that with Nicki Minaj.
He can't.
Let me find out where she's gonna be at.
Yeah, Tiger can't make it go away. He got to see it through.
That's
Nicki
America,
Minaj, though.
Man. That's the way you get rich. It don't even someone with money.
You got to think
Cardi
for
B, it don't matter. No, just someone that got money.
I think you could get closer to Cardi. You could be like, "Yo, I was born in the Bronx." You know what I mean? Like, you get close.
I'm looking for Mackenzie. That's what I'm looking for. Listen,
I think
she made a pass.
I think
so Lamar,
Cardi.
Y'all think Lamar Jackson deserves? Where y'all think Lamar Jackson's gonna land? Let's start there.
I think Atlanta still.
Yeah, I think Atlanta is the heavy favorite, man. I think right now teams are, I think teams are trying to play it close to the vest only because I talked about this in chat. I brought up a point to EJ that I saw Emmanuel Acho make on that show Speak that he has with Joy Taylor.
He's so corny though. Acho is whack.
But the point that he was making is that
I know what you're saying.
Over the last 30 years, players who've gotten the transition tag versus the exclusive, only one time in the last 30 years has that player gone to a different team. So just looking at the history, the likelihood is that Lamar Jackson is going to end up on Baltimore. Right. Baltimore is essentially saying, go out and test the market and let the market tell us what you're worth, and then we'll give you that. Instead of us negotiating directly with you. And other teams are essentially saying, we're not getting involved in your bullshit. You work out what you need to work out with Lamar Jackson. And if it don't work out, then, we'll talk to him. And so, I think that's possibly what's happening here. But if you make me pick a team where he goes, especially since it seems like Jets Rodgers seems to be, all but done, I would say that Atlanta is very likely the spot.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they have the most to offer, and I think and a part of it we were talking about it where the owners colluding and trying to teach him a lesson, and then I also posted that article where one insider believes they're all full of shit and they're all gunning for him. Anyway, it's a real nasty situation, and if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm pretty upset about my franchise at this point. They gave Joe Flacco in the past one of the biggest contracts, and then he did nothing.
Mhm.
And
But he
you
won the
know,
Super Bowl
yeah, but they gave it to him
before.
after they won the Super Bowl.
Right, and that's how they got in the situation because they were playing hardball with Joe Flacco.
I
Joe
know,
Flacco
but
said,
you
"Fuck
can't.
it."
I think that's a bad example because what are they going to do? Not pay him after he just won the Super Bowl?
No, exactly. But the point is that
They should have paid him
they
before. You
they
saying?
right Flacco they
Gotcha.
essentially were arguing over a couple $1 million. I think if I remember correctly, I think Flacco was asking for something like 160 or
Yep,
something like that,
yep,
and they were trying to give him
precisely.
like 140
Yep,
in the total contract. Remember, I don't know how much
yep.
guaranteed we're
You're
talking
you're
about.
you're about
Total
right. You're
deal,
about right.
it was about 160 to 140. They're
Hmm.
basically arguing over this $20 million. Flacco says, "Fuck it, I'm a bet on myself." Goes win a Super Bowl and says, "Yeah, we need to be starting at like 175 now," and they
Yep,
didn't have no choice.
yep.
You know what I mean?
And that was back then. And so when
Right,
you think about the QB market and the pay that has fluctuated, it's like, why not just get this dude the money? And like I said before, it's a slap in his face to a degree, and I'm sure Steve is going to go the health route, but it's a slap in his face to a degree when you have a team in your division that hasn't won jack shit, that says, you know what, we haven't won jack shit, but we're gonna invest in a quarterback that we haven't even seen throw a ball in a year, that we don't even know what he's gonna do legally next year. We're gonna give him all this money. But if you're Lamar, you're a former league MVP, you run that division, and they don't even want to give you that bread, nor have they even built any offensive weapons around you. It's kind of nasty if you're looking at Baltimore, man.
right. And real quick, Steve, before you touch on EJ's point, is that as you're seeing quarterbacks get signed, right? Now you're Lamar Jackson and you watch Daniel Jones sign a contract that's going to pay him on average $45 million a year. Daniel Jones, right? And the Ravens are trying to offer
40
you a
million.
contract that's going to pay less than that. You got to be saying to yourself, like, yo, y'all got to be shitting me, dog. Kyler Murray is making a contract where this season he's going to make like 50 something $1 million. All these other guys are making these crazy salaries, leagues better than them. You know what I mean? And so I think Baltimore has put themselves in a super shitty position playing hardball with this kid. And I think that they probably thought he's gonna just be like, he'll capitulate and say, "Oh, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna sign. This is as far as you guys gonna go." And he's saying, "No, fuck you, pay me."
So there's a lot there to unpack. I think there's a couple pieces. So think about, I'll go to EJ's point. Cleveland. Deshaun might not work out.
True.
True.
It might not. And he looked like shit this year. So there's a possibility that that doesn't work, right? So now when I look across and I see someone in my division that's willing to bet on this guy, look at it from the team standpoint. I'm not saying this is what they're doing. I'm not making this an argument. I'm just saying that there's possibilities. And these are always, anytime we get into this argument of why is a team acting a certain way, whether I agree with the team or not, I'm trying to look at what the potentials are, right? And um, and let me just say up front, I do think Lamar Jackson deserves to be paid. I do think he deserves to be paid. But when I look at it from a team standpoint, I look at it like that, right? One, that didn't work, right? VP, throughout the week, you were talking about the Rams taking a chance on all these guys and giving up all these picks. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't teams give picks up for Lamar? We didn't see the Rams benefit from that until they gave away just about everything they possibly had, and they got a bunch of shit out of those picks, including Jalen Ramsey, including what's the dude's name from Von Miller, including
Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford, right? So you got a bunch of pieces there, and not to mention they already had studs in Aaron Donald, Cooper Cup, and the likes, right? So that was that piece, and then you said, "Oh, the 40 million thing." we don't really know the total of what that contract is. We know what they reported and said it could be up to 40 million a year, right? But could there be incentives there? This guy doesn't throw touchdowns. So I don't, first of all, you guys know how I feel about Daniel Jones. He's a fucking bum. He should have never gotten paid. Anyway, zero. But then are we also talking about 40 million? I forget what the length of Daniel Jones contract was. What
I think
was
it's 4
his like?
years.
It's
Was it
4 years.
4? Okay, so we're
4
talking
years.
about 4, but they're saying that Lamar wants something like a 7-year joint. You know what I mean? Initially, which I listen, I get it. I get it from his standpoint, but I also get it from the team standpoint. Like, you've been hurt every single season. Granted, you won an MVP, but you've been hurt every season. This past season, you played 12 games out of 17. Last season, you played 12 out of 17. You missed the whole second half of the season. Doctor said you could have played. You made the decision not to play in the playoff game, which I commend him for. I'm not saying he's wrong for that, because we talk about RG3 getting screwed over all that time. But from a team standpoint, I'm taking all of this into consideration, and I'm saying, damn, do I want to get into this, right? Then I got to live with this for 7 years. I do have risk, right? They're doing risk assessments, and reward assessments. And what could the reward potentially be? They might win a Super Bowl. Is one Super Bowl in 7 years? Because I don't know. I don't know how strong it's going to be when you have a Joey Burrow to go against every single year, twice a year with that team. I don't know how strong, the Ravens are going to be with Lamar Jackson when you have a Herbert and that team over there who could potentially get better because they got cap opening up. The Dolphins are getting better in the AFC. Like, the Bills are there in the AFC. The Jets are getting better. All these teams are getting better in the AFC. Lamar gives them a great chance of winning, and probably the best chance of winning of what they can choose from today. But do I want to tie my team up for 7 years with this guy? And from an organization standpoint, that would be what I'm thinking.
So two things. First, I pulled up Daniel Jones' contract. It's 4 years, 160 million, 82 million guaranteed. Average salary of 40 million, according to Spot Track. But this coming year, he'll make 46 million for the 2023 season. Okay. Back to Lamar. That argument that you're making, Steve, there's nothing wrong with it, right? Do I want to tie myself to this guy long term, et cetera, et cetera? Teams can build outs into contracts. Even this Daniel Jones contract that I'm looking at, it shows that they have an out after 3 years. So once they get to 3 years, they can drop him and move on and not, suffer a big financial loss. Same thing with a bunch of players. Teams that I look at it, I see it more often from the Dolphins, but that's my team. I follow them. Chris Greer builds outs into contracts all the time for players that we sign. There's outs in Tyreek's contract, Teron Armstead, et cetera, et cetera. So they can build a contract that allows them to move away from Lamar if it doesn't work out after a couple years, right? That's one. Right. Two, when you say, I don't know if this is going to be my guy, long term, this is what I know. Lamar Jackson's been in the league, 4 years now? 5 years? Something like that. And in the time that he's been in the league, playing for the Baltimore Ravens, they win games. When Lamar Jackson's starting quarterback, they're 47 and 11. He wins games when he plays. When he doesn't play, they lose games. I'm not sure what much more there is to talk about. You know what I'm saying? And so I get it with the risk and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you drafted this guy with your number one pick. And I know some people say, oh, it's an experiment. They moved back into the first round to get him late because he was available. Whatever the reasoning is, they got him. And since they've had him, they win games.
And
he wins games.
The other thing to consider as well when you're talking about paying for a quarterback, what he's asking for based on who he is and what he brings to the table is kind of par for the course. It's not like what he's trying to do isn't what the standard's going to be. Joe Burrow probably 2 years from now is going to garner that same expense. Josh Allen, they're considering that same thing. So it's like, and then when you look at Kyler Murray again,
no, they already paid Josh Allen.
Okay, when you look at
Kyler should have never gotten paid, and they were playing hardball. I don't know why they caved on that.
Right,
they paid Josh Allen last year. His new contract, they're actually getting the first big hit this year. That's why Buffalo is.
What is the guarantee? What is his guarantee though?
Go ahead and talk about it.
I feel like his guarantee is low, but when you look at Kyler Murray, to Steve's point, I mean, again, it's like it's par for the course. Like these teams are looking at it like, okay, this is what we're gonna do because we got it. This is what it is, right? And it's just crazy if you're Lamar and you're looking at a Kyler Murray situation, you got to be asking yourself, how, Sway? Like how? How am I not getting that? How?
When's the last time Baltimore had a good quarterback before
And
Lamar
real
Jackson?
quick, Steve, to EJ, he asked, Josh Allen signed a 6 year, $258 million contract with $100 million guaranteed. Oh, I'm
Dang.
sorry, no, I'm sorry. Guaranteed at signing was $100 million, and there's a total of $150 million guaranteed.
Up to.
Whew.
So I'm thinking from a Baltimore standpoint, the last time that they've won, right,
Mm-hmm.
with the reason for them winning being the quarterback, I can't remember, right?
I can't
Joe
answer that.
And
Flacco played a part. He got hot in the playoffs,
He was
but that
money in the
defense
playoffs.
yeah,
was
Let me
flaming.
tell
he
you
was
this.
basically Joe Flacco the whole season.
Mhm.
Baltimore creeped into the playoffs, and
Yep,
then Joe Flacco
got
fucking
hit. He
turned
got
to like
hot.
They,
Steve
they,
Young
He
in
they
the
got
beat
hot.
Tom
beginning of the
Brady, didn't they?
playoffs.
They beat Tom Brady that
Yeah,
year.
Yeah,
yeah.
and here's the other
He like
thing.
hit some kind of fucking light switch in the
Here's the
playoffs.
other.
It
Here's
was
the other
crazy.
thing I argue. Here's the other thing I argue about with Ravens fans all day long. Right. Two things in the playoffs. Joe Flacco gets hot. The defense. Oh, the greatest defense. All this shit. People forget they went and lost the lead in the playoffs. Joe had to drive them down the field multiple times that year to win the game.
Mhm.
And let's also remember, right? We talk about Joe, he could be average. You can feel however you want to feel. Who was the best motherfucker he was throwing to? Old Anquan Bolden, Jacoby Jones. This motherfucker never had a receiver ever.
Anquan's pretty good though.
Anquan was in his last days.
He had Tory what's his name? Tory
Torrey Smith is not even playing
Smith.
anymore. Torrey Smith
Doesn't mean
dropped.
good, though.
Torrey Smith was leading the league in drops. Leading the league in drops when he
Right.
played for them.
And then
Bro,
also, Steve, to your point about the longevity of the contract and do I want to time it,
I get
looking
that.
at the Josh, I still got the Josh Allen contract pulled up, right? It's a 6 year contract. This coming season is year one of that contract. So it goes from this coming season through 2028. And the team built in and out for them after the 2025 season. After 2025, they can walk away from Josh Allen and they'll only get an $8 million hit to their cap and they can move on. And the Ravens can do the same shit. I know Lamar is asking for a lot of guaranteed money, but if you're scared about the longevity, build the guaranteed money into the beginning of the contract so that way you can walk away after 3-4 years and move on if this shit don't work out.
But I think
build
also
it.
right now the Ravens probably think that relationship is broken. And
That was
like you said, VP, if you were Lamar, you would never play another day for the Ravens, no matter
I
what.
sure wouldn't.
And I think the Ravens feel like that is where it is, and that's where it should be at this point, because they've put themselves in a position by not accepting any of these contracts or giving him a realistic counter that was market friendly, um to get the deal done, right? They're playing hardball, they're playing hardball. And people do that. They say, oh well, guys play for the love of the game. Yeah, you play for the love of the game, but you also you got to deal, this is still your employer. You still got to go see them every day. You got to deal with the even if the coach leaves, you still got to deal with that organization, right? This is all
Right.
part of the organization.
the owner,
So
the GM.
so I think from a Baltimore standpoint, they probably feel that. They probably, they're thinking, all right, let's try and draw this out, get as much as we can from somebody. Um, again, I feel like Lamar Jackson should have gotten paid. I just don't know that he should have gotten paid what he wanted. And maybe he should have gotten what he wanted. But I also understand an organization being careful. VP, you said one thing I know about Lamar Jackson: when he plays, they win. Another quarterback that wins when they play,
Who?
Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins wins. Nobody likes him. Another quarterback that wins when they play? Dak Prescott. Nobody likes him. Cowboys win when Dak Prescott plays. They haven't won the
Right.
they haven't won the chip. They haven't won the show. But neither has Baltimore. Neither has
Right.
Minnesota.
Right.
Minnesota.
Yeah, making Var's point.
Exactly, because Kirk Cousins gives them the opportunity to get to the chip. Dak gives Dallas the opportunity, just like Lamar Jackson gives Baltimore the opportunity
The
to,
best
to win a
opportunity.
chip. Because if he's not in the game, right? If right now, right, the Baltimore Ravens team as presently constructed, with the exception of Lamar Jackson, does that team make the playoffs
Yes.
No,
next year?
no.
They won games with Huntley. They win games with Huntley.
No.
They got
Making the playoffs, yes.
I'm not talking
Winning
about
the
a game
shit,
here and now.
probably not.
no.
Now, Huntley is
Mm-mm.
your guy all season.
No.
The same Baltimore team that they had this past season, save for Lamar Jackson,
Mhm.
and Huntley is
Because
your
Lamar played
QB,
what
they
12
make the
games last
playoffs.
year, right? Lamar
Hmm?
played 12 games last year,
Well, he
right?
played
So
11 and 3 snaps.
all right.
Yeah.
Because in
So
game 12, he only played 3 snaps.
so he played 11 games. So to VP's point, take away those 11 games that he played, they're not even in a discussion.
What
Without
was
him.
their record? What was their record?
I
Let's
don't
look
know
at it.
this year,
You
but
guys keep talking, and I'll pull it up.
without Lamar Jackson, those 11 games that he played, they're not even in a discussion with
I'm
Huntley
not sure that's
at the helm.
accurate without looking at it. You know what I mean? And you might be right, but I'm just saying I don't know that that's accurate without looking at it. So I just want to
Yeah.
confirm.
I can do
No, I
that.
got you. I mean, I just, I think you got to just go with the player that's gonna, win you the most games. You know what I mean? And,
It's,
and
it's
it's part,
part.
it's partly why you're seeing San Francisco not flirt with any quarterbacks. Do we bring back Jimmy G? What about Trey Lance? We got this guy who's a rookie who came in, played with poise, he did et cetera, et cetera. We got him on the cheapest fucking deal. His deal is probably cheaper than, unless we picked up a guy from Home Depot. You know what I mean? So fuck it.
So
Let's rock with him.
It's par
Yeah.
for the course, though. It's just that's the thing. It's like Baltimore's acting as if no time in the recent history, in the future
Mhm.
history, that this is ever gonna get not get done. Like it's just
Right.
par for the course.
And also, what we know is the longer you wait to sign your quarterback,
The
the more
worst is gonna
expensive
be.
it gets.
The worst is gonna
Dallas
be.
learned this lesson. The New York Giants just had to learn it just now. You know what I mean? And it's why, even with my team, people were like, "Oh, I don't know if the Dolphins should pick up Tua's fifth-year option. What if he gets hurt?" And in my mind, I'm like, they need to pick it up. It's only 20.
Now.
They're gonna
Pick it
pay.
up now.
They're gonna pay Tua $23 million in the 2024 season, right? Because they picked up his fifth-year option. Daniel Jones in 2023 season is gonna make over $50 million. You know what I'm saying?
It just
So
it doesn't make sense.
okay, so I looked it up. So they went 7-4,
With Lamar.
7-4 with Lamar, right?
Mhm.
Week 12, I'll give that to Huntley because Lamar only played 3 games. So that would mean they went 3-4 with Huntley.
Mm-hmm. And they went 7-4 with Lamar. And if you think back, even though I love it, they shouldn't have lost that game to the Dolphins.
But the game they played against the Jags was the same way. That was week 12 that Huntley should have won. That was a 28-27 Jags won on the last
But
minute. It's the coulda, shoulda, woulda. I can't put that in there, but I get it. I get what you're saying.
7-4 should almost guarantee you a fucking playoff appearance. And if this
Mhm.
guy doesn't get hurt, you're talking about 7-4. So I
Yeah,
mean,
7-4 over 11. They ended with a 10-7 record, right? So no, I'm sorry. Yeah, they went 10-7. Yeah. So they went so 3-3. No, 3-4. 3-3. 3-3.
mhm.
3-3. So Huntley was 500.
Yeah, and he
Like
played,
I
and let's be clear, he played like shit though. I mean, in those games they won,
you're right.
he was not a difference maker.
No, so it's the same thing that people did with Dak and Cooper Rush, right? Cooper Rush went 4-1, I want to say, when he started for us, and this guy won not convincingly. He won games, but we didn't score a lot of points. You know what I mean? Same thing happened with Lamar and Huntley. Huntley came in, he went 3-3, but they were winning games 10-9. You know what I mean?
13-7.
13-11, shit like that. Versus
Mhm.
when Lamar was playing, he puts up points. Like they lost to Miami, it was 42-38 or some wild shit like
Right.
that. Like
Yeah, 42-38.
so those are better teams. Or I'm sorry, that's a better option because he's going to be a better player, has a better skill set by far. I will not question and say that.
And let's not forget if they just absolutely at some point decide, hey, let's get a receiver.
Well, I think they and so that's the other part, right?
Oh,
That's the other part. I think they have receivers.
because
The
Mark
pro
Andrews is hurt.
and I think the question that people are putting in there is the same thing I said about Jalen Hurts. And he's Jalen Hurts, proved it this year. But can he get to those receivers? Because he's always been the tight end guy. Hayden Hurst
Yeah,
hit the tight end left and right. They didn't
Mark
have
Andrews.
receivers back then at all. Mark Andrews is his number one target
Yeah, but
99% of the time.
here's the other thing. On the outside, Rashad Bateman might, and with all due respect to him, and he might have been a first round draft choice. He wasn't all world at Minnesota. He has not been an all world. You talking about, and we would
Well,
have to look at.
he was hurt too, so we didn't really get a lot of him. Pause.
Yeah, and no. I mean, if you look back at that draft, and I want to say in the second round. All right, look at this. We took, I think it was the same draft that we took Elijah Moore. I could be wrong. Would you say Elijah Moore is better than Rashad Bateman?
Yes.
All right, exactly. And they took Bateman. I think it's the same draft. Could be wrong. They took Bateman first round. We got Elijah Moore second round. Even with the Eagles,
But
even with what the
but I
Eagles,
think I think
to your
Lamar.
point,
I'm sorry. I think Elijah Moore. We've seen the volume, and that's
yeah.
what I mean when I say we haven't seen a lot of Bateman. Same thing with Devin Duvernay, another one that's been hurt almost every single week with
But
these guys.
I get that, but they were also these are also Devin Duvernay is also not a guy that you line up and say he's supposed to be that guy. The Bengals went out and got Jamar Chase. They went out and got a guy from a institution that for the last up 10 years have produced Odell Beckham's and shit like that. Plus, that was fucking his college fucking receiver. So you got continuity. Fucking Baltimore, again, respect to Rashad Bateman, but they didn't really go out there and get anybody that we know is going to set the world on fire. Now, Bateman, he could be coming into his own. We don't know. But again, you spent that on the first round. Shit, you didn't even get an offensive lineman. You didn't even make it make sense. He's got a running back by committee type deal where a lot of these guys are practice players
Who
that are
can't stay
getting,
healthy?
yeah,
J.K. Diamonds is a good running back.
yeah,
Can't stay
but
healthy.
there's a reason these guys weren't premier picks for people. They weren't everybody's first choice. Just saying.
And
I,
according
I, I
to
can't
some of
I
the
can't
players,
I can't say that Lamar Jackson hasn't had any talent. Like it sounds like that's where we're going, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair at all because we've seen teams like Green Bay who are like, "Yo, we need wide receivers.
They had
I'm
didn't
gonna
they
go get another quarterback."
didn't
Like
Aaron
at
have
least
didn't Aaron have Devontae Adams for years?
no. What I'm saying is you're talking about the draft. You're saying they didn't go out and get someone. I'm saying that Baltimore tried and they missed. They missed. We can't be mad at them for missing. They at least
right?
used the first round pick on a wide receiver.
Right. I don't have a problem with them trying and missing, but to the point, like the GMs, like DaCosta said when he got interviewed, I think that was a week ago or whenever that was. He was like, we've tried and I haven't hit on them. So why don't you go to somebody that's proven, trade for a guy?
I was gonna say
So maybe they want to do that, but don't got no money
no,
because they got to give this guy
no,
$700 million.
I was gonna say
Right.
this.
But the
I was gonna
problem
say
is,
this.
Steve,
Vari, I was gonna say this before that even happened. He wants to say they tried, but historically, look at this team. They have not historically done anything. The best move that they did historically was to get an aging Anquan Bolden for cheap, and that happened to pan out. But other than that, historically, they haven't done shit. Look at what the Eagles did going to get AJ Brown from Tennessee. Now, granted, Tennessee probably wouldn't have given Baltimore that, but you got Devontae Adams going here. You could have went and got this guy. You could have went and tried to get him. Michael Thomas, they were shopping him in New Orleans for whatever reason. All this shit was going on. They never made a move.
Forget those potential ones who you could have got. It's my understanding that DJ Moore was available. You know how I know he was available? He was just traded to Chicago. So, you know what I mean? Like, you can go get this guy a weapon. You know what I'm saying? And they could have done this thing. And this is the problem that Baltimore set themselves up for, right? Because had they taken care of this Lamar Jackson shit last season, you would know what his numbers are. And then that would give you the flexibility to try to build a team the way it needs to be built. Whereas now you're trying to plug and play because you don't know where the quarterback money is going to land at, right? And then You give your linebacker
I was just gonna fucking
a
say that.
long-term contract.
$100 million.
Quarterback? Come on, yo.
That's their problem. They keep thinking that this is 2000 and 2013 and that you can hand check dudes 10 yards down the line. The defense is going to be this and that. No, we're in a league now where everybody is catching up. They have offensive talent. You're just not gonna win defense everything with everybody. You're not. Like this, it's not that league anymore, and they still playing like they still operating like that.
Looking at you, you got your Cowboys hat on, right? Think about the smoke that people was giving Dallas for taking care of their running back before the quarterback. You took care of a linebacker before securing your quarterback.
Mind you, a guy they picked up off wasn't he picked up off waiver or trade?
Trade from Chicago.
They traded this guy.
Roquan needed to be paid. Roquan needed to be paid.
I'm not doubting that.
He's a difference maker.
I don't doubt that at all. But before the quarterback,
shit, he didn't help them win. He didn't help them win down the stretch. I can tell you that.
Do you think? I don't know what their cap situation looks like. If they had paid Lamar what he wanted, could they have paid Roquan?
But look at it this way. You said Roquan is a difference maker. The quarterback is the difference maker.
Exactly.
On any team.
When they're on the field. We just said this about AD and KD.
Okay. Hey,
on the field.
EJ, why did Jets didn't make the playoffs?
Say that again.
Why did Jets didn't make the playoffs this last season?
We had no quarterback.
They don't have a quarterback.
They had a quarterback. He was.
I'm getting off.
Listen, the Jets almost made the playoffs.
I'm getting off.
The Jets almost had made the playoffs. Matter of fact, if it wasn't me, I remember some Jets fans, mainly one on this podcast, that was like, "We're making the playoff this year. We can't wait till." Didn't they start Flacco?
No,
and he was like, "Flacco is just like Tom Brady."
No. See, again.
And then he was like, "We can't wait till we get Zach Wilson back. We're gonna make the playoffs."
You like to twist my words around. First of all, Vari was actually the one praising the Jets more because he picked them several times when I said don't fucking pick them. So I don't know what you're talking about. Second of all, we don't have a quarterback. Period. We don't have a quarterback. We didn't have a quarterback. That's why we're doing what we're doing now.
And they had their backup come in. What's his name? White. That's his last name.
Mikey White.
And they was like, "Yo, we got white gold here."
And guess what? Mike
it didn't work out.
Mike White got hurt. Mike White got hurt. I mean, what are we gonna do? Our team was plagued by injuries this year.
The Jets didn't. So my point is, the Jets didn't not make the playoffs. The Jets didn't not make the playoffs because they didn't have a quarterback. That's not why they didn't make.
That's a major reason why. Because we lost single point games. We lost a lot of games where if the quarterback play was just a little bit better, we would have won more games. Now, granted, we had 1,000 injuries on the offensive line. I don't think another team was more injured on the offensive line than us. It might be a couple, but I don't know. Nigga, please.
Your running backs.
Running backs
were hurt.
Our best more to it.
There was more to it than just not having a quarterback.
Again, we lost games where quarterback play simply killed us. We should have beaten the Patriots twice, but we didn't have quarterback play. Like, for whatever reason, we played the Patriots. We just couldn't play quarterback. Bills, we could have went 2-0 versus them if we had a quarterback situation. I don't disagree with you, but I mean, we're talking about par for the course for this league. This is a quarterback-driven league, and you don't pay your quarterback. Just don't make sense. These motherfuckers got Roquan Smith in a trade. They didn't have to give him $100 million. They could have let him walk. They could have did whatever they wanted to. They didn't have to give him $100 million.
Do you think Baltimore? Do you think Baltimore was in the sweepstakes for the Bears pick and it didn't pan out?
No.
And maybe that's why they were playing hardball.
No.
Nah.
Because if that's the case, I would have thought, and this is what I was saying, and Vari, correct me. I was saying give them the exclusive, give them the 40 plus, and then trade them wherever the fuck you want. Because they could have did that. Then they could have hollered at Chicago and say, "Hey, we got Lamar, a proven guy. Don't worry about it. Give us your picks. Take them." Who wouldn't have taken him at 45?
Chicago's not taking Lamar. They already have a quarterback. That's why they traded. What I'm saying, my point is, I'm thinking the Ravens were thinking, all right, we could save cap space if we can go out and get this first round pick from.
Yeah, but who would they have given Chicago then? What would have been the
Chicago didn't get shit. Chicago got picks and a fucking wide receiver, a DJ Moore who looks good at times and at times doesn't.
What did they give up?
Who?
What did Chicago give up?
The number one overall pick. The number one overall
so
pick.
Why,
so what I'm
saying
Baltimore
is, have to offer them is what I'm asking you.
I don't know, but
that's what I'm saying.
They could have offered. They could have offered picks. They could have offered Duvernay. They could have offered. They could have offered a lot. Is what I'm saying.
Duvernay is not a world beater. Nobody's jumping out the window for Duvernay.
Listen, what I'm saying.
Are we watching the same player?
If I'm Baltimore, I could be sitting here saying, I can get this guy for $7 million. If I can trade for this first round pick, this number one overall, I can go out and get Stroud or whoever they want, right? Then we can trade. Maybe they tag him, exclusively, and they trade him and they get their picks back that they gave up for that first.
But Steve, that's what I'm saying. Because if you're talking about, do you think they were holding out in this situation to be in a potential trade? Lamar has to be involved with that trade.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
With Chicago?
Why would I do that? If I'm Chicago, why would I trade for Lamar when I already have a quarterback?
Why would you say they're holding out? You're not telling me anything that they would have been able to send Chicago that looks good for the number one
picks. Chicago didn't get shit. You're making it seem like Chicago went out and got fucking Devontae Adams.
But what does it have?
Got a ton, I think.
Yeah, like I don't know what
player wise. No, they got picks.
Yeah. Okay, Chicago.
They got picks and DJ Moore.
Chicago got 2 first round picks, 2 second round picks, and they got a player who was a true number one receiver.
Right.
I'm not saying he's Devontae Adams. He's not D-Hop.
But what
he's a true number one.
I guess what I'm trying to say.
With Claypool.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't understand your correlation for them holding out with Lamar.
So what I'm saying is, if I'm Baltimore, I'm thinking this is my thought, right? Potentially, I go out, I try to make this deal with Chicago for the first number one overall pick without giving up Lamar Jackson to them, because they're probably not going to want him. If I'm thinking Baltimore, they're not going to want him. They already have a quarterback. Now I give them all the picks they want. If they want 2 of our wide receivers, they want Mark Andrews, take them, right? This is what I'm thinking as Baltimore, because I'm going to make all of that back when I trade Lamar Jackson somewhere else. So now I can go out, I'm going to go get a number one overall talent, whoever it might be, right, as a quarterback, and I'm going to make all those picks back before the draft, before I draft him, by trading Lamar Jackson to whatever, X team, you know what I mean, and take their picks and flip those into the replacement talent that I gave to the Bears. That's what I'm thinking.
So I hear what you're saying, Steve, but the problem is, the reason I don't think that could work is that Baltimore right now they have the 22nd pick. So to come from 22nd to 1, you're gonna have to give up.
To give them something.
I mean, look at what Carolina gave up to go from 9 to 1. So to
have to give them something. That's what I was saying. I didn't think if you're leaving Lamar out, I don't see how they make that deal, because they ain't got shit to give them. There's nothing on their roster, not even the picks, that is gonna jump them from 22 to 1. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Mark Andrews, J.K. Dobbins.
The
Bears have a hole at running back.
J.K. Dobbins is always hurt. He's not a world beater. I can go get a Derrick Henry for the picks that you gave me.
We're talking about J.K. Dobbins being hurt, but we can't talk about Lamar being hurt. That's what I'm saying. Like this is where we live in a world of double standards. This is the same as man.
J.K. Dobbins ain't as good as you making him out to be. He's a decent running back. He's not a world beater. He's not even top 10. Lamar Jackson is the top 10 quarterback. You saying J.K.
Dobbins is not a top 10
quarterback
in the league?
No.
Okay.
It's not.
We'll sit down after this, and I want 9 people better than J.K. Dobbins, 9 running backs better than J.K. Dobbins. I'm not going to do it right now, but we'll talk about it. But if I'm Baltimore, that I mean, there's just different outs, there's different options. That relationship is broken. It's broken. So for them, if they were to turn around today and be like, "Oh, okay, we'll pay you," first of all, what does that make them look like? 1, 2, is that relationship going to be strong? Like, it's just that shit's broken. It's done. They need to figure it out and get rid of him. It's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't know what other teams out there. I mean, you got people. Shit, what did they just pay? Your boy Gino. Gino just got like 37 million, didn't he?
Gave
He
him
had
3 years.
3
It was like
years.
37 average. 33 years, like 105, I want to say
Right.
is the number.
Right. So I go back to my original statement. Lamar Jackson should get paid, but I don't know if he should get paid for 7 years. And I get
Derrick
it. You're
Henry,
outs.
Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb,
Dalvin Cook's never
Alvin
available.
Kamara,
Kamara's
Alvin
not
Kamara,
available. He's never available.
Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, Brees
Montgomery's better
Hall
than
before
J.K.
he got
Dobbins.
hurt. Yeah, I would say he's got a
No,
better career for
He's
sure.
not. He's not.
Okay, take him out.
He's not. But we're talking about availability, right? You said J.K. Dobbins is not available, and half of those guys aren't available either.
No, I don't disagree with that piece of the injury part. I just didn't
And
think
he's young.
I just
J.K.
didn't think
Dobbins
he
is
was
what,
that
like 25 years old, 24? The kid's
yeah,
good.
I just don't think
Good
he's
running
that
back.
good, bro. I just don't think I don't think to what you're saying that a team is gonna be like, okay, we'll go to 22 if you give us J.K. Dobbins and Mark Andrews. Not gonna happen. I even forgot Christian McCaffrey. I didn't even say him.
I think Dobbins and Andrews and your number 22 overall and additional first round picks is enough to go to 1 overall. I think it is
I think
personally.
you should stop taking this shit before the pod. I even forgot DeAndre Swift. I mean, I
Not
would
available.
I would give J.K. Dobbins 15. I mean, shit, J.K. Dobbins missed the entire season in 2021. The entire season. Elijah Mitchell.
Not
I mean,
better than J.K. Dobbins. See,
I
you're
don't know, bro.
reaching. Now you're reaching.
I give him
Hey,
15.
Vari,
I give him top 15.
who's your number 1 running back today?
Oh shit.
Or last year? Not overall. I mean, on the
What are
Dolphins.
you basing it on?
Who was? I'm just asking. Who was your number 1
On the
Dolphin
Dolphins?
on the running back last year
You said for the Dolphins?
on the team? Yeah. Was it Chase
Uh,
Edmonds?
nah, it was Mostert. I mean, it was Edmonds, and we traded him away. I would say Mostert.
Mostert. Would you rather have Mostert or Dobbins? I'm pretty sure Dobbins is still on his rookie deal.
Mostert.
I would say Mostert.
I'm taking Dobbins. I'm taking Dobbins every day.
Mostert.
Every day of the week. Probably 5 times
base,
on Sunday.
You base a lot of your love off of certain guys based on what they've done for your fantasy teams. I noticed
I've
that.
never had J.K. Dobbins on a team.
You sure?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Okay. I don't believe that. Not even on your daily fantasies?
No.
Liar. Liar. Liar.
Okay.
You're not gonna ask me what running back I would take right now? The best one right now?
No, I didn't say best. What I was making a point to say that there's teams that would take J.K. Dobbins. Like the Dolphins would be a better team with J.K. Dobbins.
There's teams that could take him, but we're talking about at the expense of saying they're comfortable with taking him back. A guy who missed an entire 2021 season, taking him back and then giving up their number one pick. No, it's not happening. They're gonna want Lamar. A team's gonna want Lamar. Because they'll look at it like, hey,
there's ways to make it happen.
Go that high, Steve, from 22 to 1. I think you have to include Lamar.
I don't think so.
Chicago, it doesn't make sense if you don't unless you're saying I don't believe in Justin
Fields. But why would they have Fields? Why would they do that?
I mean, they could shop.
That's the point, though.
That's the point where we were saying Baltimore was never going to be in the runnings for that. They have nothing to really offer.
And that might be so, but that doesn't mean that they didn't think they might have been. And that's my point. My point is they might have been thinking, let's go try to move up.
I don't think so.
And get a guy. Listen, if I'm Baltimore, let me finish the rest of it. If I get this guy for $7 million as a rookie deal and he pans out and all that money I was going to spend on Lamar, I can fill up somewhere else. Like you guys said, go get a wide receiver. Go get a running back since J.K. Dobbins is trash, apparently. Go get some defensive players. Maybe go get Jalen Ramsey. Go get all these guys because now I have the money to do it with a $7 million rookie quarterback. Why wouldn't I try that? If I'm Baltimore, I could try that.
You're missing the point again because our point was if they had done something contractually in the first place, they wouldn't be in this fucking mess. If
Oh, they
anything,
would. They wouldn't
give,
have the money. That's what I'm saying. They'll
And
have.
also, I hear what you're saying, Steve, from Baltimore's perspective, but from Chicago's perspective, the deal doesn't make sense because they have so many holes, which is why they've acquired all these draft picks, all this cap space. And if they were to bring on Lamar and add $50 million in cap
Steve is
space
not
in
saying to
year
bring on
one,
Lamar though. Steve's not
huh?
saying to bring on Lamar if you're
Oh,
Chicago.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just I
Chicago
don't.
wouldn't bring. They would never bring Lamar on. That wouldn't make any
Yeah.
sense. They
But
got Fields. He's still fairly cheap until they pay him.
but they
And they
they
got the
you're
most cap
saying
space probably ever we've seen a team
you're
have.
saying take a
Mm,
J.K. Dobbins when they have a Montgomery. You're saying
Well,
they might
Montgomery
want
is not signed. They didn't sign him.
okay. Well, you're saying they would want a J.K. Dobbins and a Mark Andrews for a number one pick when Baltimore really doesn't have a lot for
Well,
them right
there's
now.
more to it. You're making it sound like it's just those two, but I'm saying they could have packaged up a bunch of shit. Is
For
what I'm saying.
22, I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know. But I'm saying again, I don't think I think where you went wrong was tying the decision not to pay Lamar into thinking about that. Because even in your point, neither one are mutually in the same because they could do whatever they want with Lamar and they still could have went and tried to make that trade. Right? Based on what you're saying. If he's not going to be involved in the trade, they could have did whatever they wanted and they still could have sent that trade over.
Yeah, but they could have been thinking if we get this trade, then we'll give him an exclusive tag. If we don't, we'll give him a non-exclusive tag. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think
That's
it doesn't make any difference if he's not moving. If your plan is not to send him to
no, they're not
Chicago,
moving him to Chicago, but they would move him somewhere else.
yeah,
That's
but they
why it's
still could
important for us to
they still
finish
could do
listening
that.
to full
but
conversations.
We heard
but
you.
Steve,
We did
the
not hear you.
problem is though what you're talking about couldn't have happened, right? Because
How so?
the franchise tag deadline was
Was the other
last
day.
week, and the tampering period doesn't start until tomorrow. So teams can't be talking to each other about trades unless they're doing some kind of back of the backhanded shit that the NFL finds out later and then comes in and hits you for tampering or something. So
What are
they
you talking
couldn't
about?
talk to other
But either
teams
way, in
about
your
the team
scenario, right, Steve?
tomorrow.
I heard what you said. Either way, in your scenario, you made a fine point. You said, "Hey, if I'm Baltimore, I could package Dobbins, Andrews, picks, and get it from 22 to number one to Chicago." Lamar is not involved in the trade, based on what you're saying. So either way, whatever they decide to do with Lamar is nothing has anything to do with sending Chicago a package.
Well,
Lamar's not
no,
involved.
the difference is you franchise tag exclusively. You have full control over what happens with this guy,
Mhm.
right? That's the only difference. So they gave him a non-exclusive. I'm saying is if they could have landed a deal like that with the Bears, then they could have made it an exclusive tag, and they have 100% control of where he goes versus the non-exclusive tag.
Yeah,
That's it.
I said the same thing, but again, that still has nothing to do with a potential trade to Chicago because they're not sending him there. They could have still did that. They could have made Lamar an exclusive joint and said, "Hey, we're going to send you to Atlanta." And then, "Hey, Chicago, take 22, take Dobbins, take Andrews and give us number 1." It's still neither one is exclusive of the other. Neither one depends on the other. Neither one. Baltimore should have, if they were smart, they should have just given him the exclusive, paid him 45 million, been on the hook for 45 million. Because look, you're gonna have to pay him. Somebody's gonna pay him one way or the other. Then you say, "Hey, Atlanta, take him." There's no debate now. We know you want him.
You're just
Take him.
gonna force him to Atlanta. All you.
I mean, anywhere. It could have been Carolina, wherever. Here, we got this motherfucker. He's under contract, 45 mil. That's all you're on the hook for. Daniel Jones just got 40. So you're not bitching. Here, let's go.
So you think he ends up in Atlanta, VP? You think he ends up in Atlanta?
I think Atlanta. I had Carolina on my radar too, but now they've made that trade, so the Carolina doesn't make sense. And that's the thing that's kind of amazing to me because obviously Carolina's going to go and take a quarterback, right? They're one of the two quarterbacks everybody's talking about. I can't recall their names right now, but I know it's two
CJ
quarterbacks.
Stroud and
Yeah, Stroud and whatever. But anyway,
But I think Stroud will go.
they're going to take one of those two guys, right? And it's like, you have given up a lot to we talked all week, in chat about risk, right? And you've risked a lot to move up to go get a guy that may be the guy. Whereas you have a guy who's already shown he's the guy. He only cost you 2 first-round picks, right? 2 first-round picks and some money. Whereas now to go get Stroud or whoever you get, you paid 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a player that's your number one receiver, meaning that you're bringing this guy into a situation where he don't even got good people to throw to.
You're right. You're right. But I think they're in a rebuilding phase. That's why they got rid of
The
everybody.
motherfuckers is always rebuilding.
They cleared Moore's cap, and they don't have to bring in 150, to $300 million guy by going for that
This
first
is also the team that went out there and traded for Sam Darnold, and now you got him, and you still not sold. Like, what are they doing?
Well, they picked up Sam Darnold's 5th-year option.
And
yeah,
then
you gotta have a guy just in case. Like, you have to do
Right.
that.
I think we're gonna draft a guy and we're gonna sit him and roll with Darnold while we rebuild. We don't want to go out and get him killed while we're trying to bring in weapons and shit.
I got Lamar going to Houston, or Tampa. Tampa's
I don't
always
see them
been
going.
aggressive.
I don't see them sending them anywhere in the AFC.
Houston has the assets to do it. Tampa, I'm not sure, and it's just because I don't know what Tampa's cap space is like with Mike Evans and all these other guys contracts they got. I think Tampa will be tough as far as cap.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they'd have to figure it out. But if I'm Tampa, right, I have a team that if I add Lamar today, I could become the favorite in the NFC.
You're definitely winning your division.
Definitely. Division is unquestioned. I mean, except for people think Derek Carr is going to make New Orleans.
Well, I mean, right now Derek Carr is the best quarterback in that division and makes them the most complete team at that point.
Yeah,
I mean, no other team in that division has any stability at quarterback. So
yeah. All right, that's all I got. We're almost 2.5 hours. Any other topics that we got can probably wait. I will hand it over to VP and just say Team Morant deserves all the smoke. Go ahead, VP.
Yo, I knew that was
coming, yo.
I knew that was coming.
Right on time.
Hey, everybody, we definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us. For the folks who listen live during the podcast, we appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday morning / afternoon to vibe with us. For the folks who will listen once the episode posts, we definitely appreciate you guys taking that time as well. You can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching at Castworthy. You can also follow us on any of our social media by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can leave us a like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We definitely would very much appreciate it. And I'd not be remiss not to mention, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to your people, let them know you're thinking about them. I'm pretty sure they'll like it and you won't regret it. Tomorrow's not promised to anybody. So, go ahead and reach out to your people and let them know how you feel about them. Just, it's just a good thing to do. So go ahead and do that. But yeah, anyway, with that being said, man, like, again, we definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with us and, year 5 of this experiment. And we're going to definitely keep it going. And we'll look forward to bringing you guys another fresh episode on next week's episode of the Castworthy podcast. We out. We love you. Peace.